Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to the monthly comic book review here on Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm your host for this evening's festivities, Rockin Robbie Billups, and tonight, me and an esteemed group and assortment, that those words kind of mean the same thing, me and a great gaggle of comic book enthusiasts and YouTubers are going to be talking about our favorite comics of March 2024. And of course, we got with us pretty much the official co-host of the show. It's Nick, Comic Culture. What is up, my man?
Is it a gaggle of geeks? Is that what we are?
We're a gaggle of geeks.
Gaggle of geeks, dude. Man, I'm so glad to be here again, man. Yeah, I feel like I'm slipping in the co-hosting duties. So sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. That's awesome. I got to take a piss, sometimes taking a shit, you know. So it is what it is. Speaking of taking a shit, it's Stu, who's live from his bathroom. What is up, my man?
What's up? Station. Another wonderful introduction, bro. I appreciate it. Honored to be here with you guys here tonight. Thank you for having me.
You know, if I have another official co-host of this show, it's also the dude who does our thumbnails each and every month, the award-winning Manny. What is up?
Dude, Station. I'm super excited. I was so nervous that I wasn't going to get Crashdown read this month before the show. So I'm glad that I finally got around to reading Crashdown. It was unexpected. It was
did you not get the memo? We're not talking about Crashdown tonight.
Oh,
yeah,
it's a whole thing.
Shit. That Fire Guy Ryan guy just gets on my nerves. So,
damn it.
Moving along.
Yeah, moving along. Thanks for bringing us down. That's an April Fool's joke. Obviously, everybody knows I'm joking, right?
Yeah.
Right. Ryan's a cool dude.
We love them both.
I'm sure, but you know who's just as cool as Fire Guy Ryan? How about Water Guy Chris? What's up, Lost in Comics?
Yes. What is going on, guys? Man, I missed all of you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I know these can go real sideways, so I appreciate that I didn't get the Stu intro today.
Yeah, all right. You know, you just never know who's going to get the Stu intro. I guess that's hashtag Stu intro. We see you all you beautiful people out there in the chat. You know, one day Easy Dick's going to have to get on this show. Because if he wants to join the game, he's going to have to join the game. And this is the big leagues right here, bro. By the way, first day of the MLB season. Happy opening day. The Yankees actually pulled ahead of the Asterix. And it's gone final. The Yankees came back and won 5-4 against the Houston Asterix. So hell yeah. That's nice. Awesome. Now I'm in a really good mood. All right.
Yeah. He's in a really good mood. Such a good mood.
That he just
we dropped
celebrating early. Yeah.
We are celebrating early. I think what was going to happen next was we're going to start getting into the favorite books of the month.
I just got so excited about the Yankees winning. I clicked the wrong button. You know, it happens. It happens. We see you out there in the chat. Best segues and intro. So thank you so much for joining the show. Please do join and partake in the conversation. Now, I would say that this week or this month, I think it was a really solid month. I think it started off a little weaker and then it got better as the month progressed, right? Yeah. But I'm having trouble. There's like 3 things I think that I could pick as my pick of the month. So I'm going to actually let y'all go first. I'm going to be nice tonight. And Nick, why don't you kick us off with your pick of the month?
Yeah, well, first off, I totally agree. There's a few different books, but I'm gonna pick one that, man, I reread it again today because it's been a couple of weeks since I read it, and I think I'm just gonna have to knock it out, man. We're talking about Helen of Wyndhorn, issue number 1. I think this was a contender for book of the month for a lot of folks, and I just really want to dive into this one. So if you read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, same creative team, it feels like that same book as well, because we have these like strong female characters in here. We have a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions, things like that. We have very similar styles, obviously, in the art department and everything. But what I love about this book in particular is there's a lot of mystery still that we have inside of here. There's this monster element that they add towards the end of this, and there's these cool, I don't know, it's like a grandfather's legacy, his legend or something like that we're going to realize throughout this book. But every single character inside of this book is interesting, which is really cool. Every person that has dialogue in this book, I loved hearing what they had to say. And this journey of this like 16-year-old girl trying to, come back into the family, come back to the manor, her habits and things like that are just hilarious. She's like a drunk and everything. She has these nightmares we're exploring still. And that's, of course, going to blow out in the subsequent issues. The other cool thing about this one are all the little nuances inside of this book. there is a caretaker for this young girl that we're kind of hearing the story from, right? She's an elderly woman. She's going back in time in her memory. She's talking to this reporter. There's a lot of little nuances inside of there. One of the ones that I love the best is she talks about some of the young girl's habits, like drinking and smoking in particular. At the end of this issue, she lights up a cigarette as if that was something that, you know, she would have previously dismissed because it's gross and everything and disgusting. But she's obviously grown a lot as a character as well through the interactions with this young girl and this family. And there's a lot of mystery still to be had in this book. Art-wise, absolutely beautiful. One of the best books I've ever seen. Such a great creative team. Lots of mystery, lots of engagement. I loved everything about this book. What'd you guys think of it, though?
Man, I really liked the book. It was my pick of the week that it came out. It's one of mine that I listed, one of my 3 for possibility of being best of the month. I really, really liked it. Now, you know, the same team as Superman or Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And we all know that I didn't really necessarily like the writing in that one as much because, I mean, I liked the story. It was True Grit in space with Supergirl, but I felt like the narration and the dialogue didn't work well together for me in the Supergirl book. Here, it works very well. It feels classic. It feels old school. I've been reading through some 70s comics lately for my new like top down, bottoms up videos. And it kind of has that kind of vibe and feel with a little bit of that purple prose, but not something really obnoxious, you know, compared to some of even other works from Tom King. I really liked it. I loved the characters, but I adored the art. The art was immersive, I would say, right? Like it really draws you in and you want to linger on every single line that I believe it's Bill Key Evely. You want to go every single line that she's done. You want to just take it in. It is beautiful. I would love to see this in black and white.
Yeah.
But that's no slight against the amazing coloring in the book as well. A top-notch package for me. What do you think, Shit and Stew?
I completely agree with you about the art, man. From page 1, it was like it blew me away. Just that opening page, you knew they were back to business and that it was going to be something worth your time. This wasn't one I was necessarily checking for, just because like Love Everlasting was a little lukewarm to me, but I knew I love Supergirl and I definitely wanted to check this team out. I think shout out to Tom King for basically like polling Bill Key about like what 2 things or what she was into, and she basically came back with Conan and Wuthering Heights, and he just kind of put that story together off of those 2 opposite poles. But I thought it was solid. It didn't necessarily like completely blow me away, but it was gorgeous. That main character who's drinking and smoking reminded me a lot of Supergirl on her 21st birthday.
Yep.
I thought it had a lot of parallels to that story in great ways. But I thought the ending was great. Great cliffhanger. And I can't wait. I hope we see more of that Conan style world. Like, but at the same time, like the Victorian setting, that giant estate, all that art was just fantastic. So yeah, looking forward to issue 2. Sure.
Yeah, me too. What about you, Manny? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked I liked the way that the character was up and down throughout in terms of like taking in this life that she didn't know was like this huge part of her father's life that she didn't even know or understand. There are times when she's excited about the wealth, but then she also gets morose and just starts drinking. Like, I like that there is that up and down because it's a lot to take in. You had a dad who you rode the rails with, who wrote pulp fantasy stuff, who also happened to be this very wealthy person, that this entire aspect of their life that you didn't know. And as cool as it is to be 16 and suddenly come into wealth and come into everything that Wyndhorn is, why'd your dad keep it from you? There has to be so much complexity to the emotions that Helen is feeling. So that's what really hit me, was just that idea of like, I don't know, think about it in your own life. Your parents have this entire life that you didn't know, you know, and what would it be to just know that everything about that life is so alien and foreign to you? Like, I don't know. I thought that was a really good read. And of course the artwork is phenomenal. The color it shifts so much throughout the book between being like muted and scaled back, and then when it gets bright, it gets vibrant. All of a sudden you have this like total washes of purples and greens, and it gets a lush, but then goes back to muted. It's disarming. It's a pattern interrupt that really keeps you engaged, and again, highly detailed art, which you know we love here. So great book.
Hell yeah. What are you thinking, Chris? Did you get a chance to read this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. And many of the things that Manny's, talking about are some of the reasons why I enjoyed the book so much. I'm really intrigued by this whole idea of her when her father, passes away, she gets taken to this house of Wyndhorn, and it's just this majestic place that she could never imagine. Like, why did he keep that from her? Was he trying to escape the monsters there, or was he trying to escape the wealth and the entitlement and everything else that came with that place? Because he decided to go be a writer, and we know that's the complete opposite of being rich. You're not going to go off to be a writer so you can go make money. We know this. And I think Tom King has really, I don't know, maybe he's been listening to you, Robbie. I really feel like he has been refining the over verbosity. I don't know if that's not the way you'd say that, but I feel like he has he's using his words a lot more wisely. I had a great time with this. Stu, when we were on the Supreme Clientele, man, you really took a dump on this book, man. I'm real surprised. Now today you're acting like you like. Nah, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. Stu's like,
his membership card is month by month basis, so he's gotta kiss some ass something.
Stu's just dropping shit all over the place, man.
I loved it though. It was a fantastic book.
All right.
So much love.
Cool. So first book we talked about was a Tom King book, and we all liked it. Wow. Look at that,
Yeah,
goes to show how fair and biased we are. All right, Stu, why don't you shit all over us and let us know what your pick of the month is? I'm just gonna run this shitting to the ground.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all these. Yeah, I don't know. You're throwing it at me hot and heavy. I just don't know how to handle it. I need a bidet. All right, so my pick, Beneath the Trees, number 4, Travis Horvath. Like, this book has been so amazing. I know we talk about it all the time. It's been the surprise horror hit of the year. Nick, shout out to you for pointing out that great interview he did on Comic Pop with Scott Snyder, because I had no frame of reference for this guy, but just listening to him talk makes me more interested in who he is as a person, as a creator. I hope we see more of this guy moving forward. Obviously, we probably will. But in so many ways, like, I don't want this book to end, and this issue was bittersweet in that the story is so accelerated now, and I know we're gonna come to our conclusion soon, but it was just so good, and just knowing that we're almost at the end, it was, I don't know, it was very, very conflicted emotions with me because I've just loved it so much. But our story comes to a head. I love the what's the bear's name? I forget. Her interaction with Nigel. Sam's interaction with Nigel there at the house when Nigel's trying to take care of Mom. Him like, we find out that I love our first interaction. We don't really know how the scene's going to go, but I love that first interaction when he comes down the stairs and he's like, oh, you startled me. I like that feeling. And I just love how we get that little window into who he is, and then he lays out the story that he's been following Sam to the city and watching what she's been doing for a long time now. And we find out like he's been even more invasive of that moving forward. But I just love Sam's reaction to it, freaking out, going home, cleaning everything, getting OCD with it. And then, of course, like the end, I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but just how we kind of like reach our climax where Nigel has kind of boxed Sam in, and she's got nowhere to go. But it's just been so masterful, man. Like the Richard Scarry meets Dexter, just aesthetic is just so genius. And the artwork has been insane. It's so consistent throughout. It's just been like my favorite book to read. And it's this and just a few other books that, like, when I see them every month, I just know it's just going to be fantastic. I know I can count on this book and depend on it to give me what I need. And it's something that I've just loved so much. I don't want to see it go. So a surprise hit, a book I never would have checked for, or kind of knew was coming, but this book continues to blow me away. Can't say enough good things about it. Beneath the Trees, number 4 is my pick.
Man, I love Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, right? I absolutely love that book. This was a great issue. I'm right there with you, Stu. I want to stay in this world. I really feel like there was, and they don't know how good a book is going to go or how well it's going to be received, right? So a lot of things get structured as just kind of being short form mini series that can be on a graphic novel. And if it's popular, then they can extend it out and then lose interest in the reader. That's what happens with books like Something is Killing the Children, for instance. Things that were meant to kind of be what they are. Then they do so well, they keep it going. So I'm afraid of this book doing that. Like if it sells, because it's been selling well, right? And it's odd because at my shop, this rarely happens. Usually the trend is this. Number 1 sells here. Number 2 about halves that. Then 3 and 4 kind of iron it out, right? This book has just stayed constant. I have sold the exact same amount of copies issue to issue. It has not lost the retention of anybody who's reading this book.
Yeah,
and
that's great to hear.
That world, those characters are so engaging. You could stay in this world for a long time if you would like layer out this whole, who is the person? Now, maybe the person who we think it is isn't actually the person, and he's kind of like fucking around or something like that. But this book is one of those things. It's like a Twin Peaks or something, like one of those shows where it's about a small town and each character is so resonant and interesting that you could explore, that like Twin Peaks soared when it was just built around one mystery, but it was really about the characters in that town. Lost kind of did the same thing, but the demands of the audience on Lost kind of started detracting that one a little bit. But I love the book. And the art, easily dismissive as just being like cartoony kid, cuddly art, but like handling the weight of those emotions, great backgrounds, lots of detail, really solid stuff. What you think?
And the way the gore, I love the way the gore shows up too. Like that first time he like dissects that duck or whatever, that was just such a gnarly scene.
Yeah, they really do that. What about you, Manny? What do you think?
Beneath the tree. I mean, same things that we've been saying. I think every month this book has come up, and it's like Robbie's saying, it's disarmingly quaint, right? The aesthetic that's chosen lulls you into like almost a false sense of security, and then the graphic violence really pops. So I think like it's a smart device to use, and it really hasn't lost its luster because the story itself continues to be a really good serial killer slasher horror film type of a story. Lettering is what I tried to notice this time, and the notebook paper captions, the way that it mirrors like the hand-drawn quality, mirrors like just that, again, Richard Scarry artistic approach. I think that all of that really works.
Who's lettering this one?
Isn't it Haas?
Hassan? Yeah.
Haas, okay.
So it's interesting because there are times where one of the things that comes up in my reviews a lot is I say it's not like Haas's lettering where it's something you really notice. In this book, what's crazy is there's a level of restraint there where it's Haas lettering it, and I didn't even realize it was Haas until I decided to really focus on the lettering. So the way that it's working to keep that story moving, to keep it clear, to keep it concise, I think it's really, really well done. I love that this, in terms of pacing, feels the most frantic. Like it kind of starts off a little slow, and then it like just ramps and ramps and ramps and ramps and ramps, and Sam is getting more unhinged, and the pace is matching to meet her where she's at psychologically. So it just, I don't know, the entire issue just really, really works. I dug it. It's a good book.
Hell yeah. What about you, Chris? What are you thinking?
Yeah, this would have been my pick as well, Stu. I think I have so much fun with this book. Even the way it starts, like you said, Manny, it starts very slow. The setting, that town, it looks like COVID during that time period where you just go out and the city is just, there's nobody in the restaurants. Sam is kind of walking around, observing everything. Nobody's there. And all these cute little animals, they're all afraid of this murder that's in their city at this moment. I can't say enough about the arts. I said it on my review. It's like those books, the highlight books that we used to read as kids, like those child books that have like puzzles and stuff. That's what it feels like in a way. You're reading it, and then boom, you turn a page, and then it's just like dismembered, animal body, and you're like, oh crap, dude! Like it really catches you off guard. So I love that. I love the art. Just so much to love. Like the whole thing with the actual, with Sam being kind of behind, or the person that is supposedly the killer, like they're one step ahead of Sam, and Sam is like the professional, and this other animal has been observing Sam, And I love that, like, that person, the admirer, is kind of one step ahead by the end of this comic. And Sam's not used to being in this position. You can obviously tell Sam is like a professional, meticulous, has, you know, rules to their game. Like, man, I only go out of the city, like out of the little town to commit my murders. And it reminds me very much of Dexter, right? He's got his rules, you know, as he, you know, for what he does. So yeah, just so many things, so many little details in the art, in the writing. And what's crazy to me is this is, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is Patrick Horvath's this is his debut comic, right? Like, I haven't seen.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, we looked it up. I think he had just done cover work and things like that before.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 covers or something crazy.
To undertake this writing, art, and to deliver, like you said, Robbie, to have that steady consistency with readership, that's a testament, man. This dude's onto some good stuff. So love it.
Hell yeah. Speaking of onto some good stuff, Nick was telling me he's got some good stuff he's going to be saving up for Heroes Con this year at the hotel room. But anyway, Nick, take with that what you will. I'm thinking sex toys. Other people's might go drugs.
No.
What are you thinking, Nick?
There's no time for that when you got original art on your mind. Priorities, man. Priorities. Come on. Yeah, it's an amazing book for sure. I can't say anything more than what you guys already said. The point I was going to bring up, Chris covered it very eloquently too, was I like seeing Sam in this position because she's just used to being her affect is so flat, and she's used to her routines, and she's very methodical, and she's been doing this for a very long time. It makes it feel like she's been doing this for like decades or something like that, right? She's just used to this, and I love seeing her on the other side of it. Now she's kind of like the victim. All of her dirty laundry is out in the open right now. She's the prime suspect, you know what I mean? So like everything, and I like all the little callbacks to issue number 1, the paint cans getting followed around, things like that. So I like how the script has been flipped right now. Now she's on the defensive and is panicking. This is the first time we've seen this very, really very well-off character like panicking at this moment, and so I just love that switch in character development. So it's gonna be fun to see how she reacts, and how do you get out of this? I mean, she's gonna have to figure out a way to flip the script again, man. And I'm just excited to see where it goes. I want to be in this world longer, but I don't, because I just want this book to have a good ending, and I just want it to be what it is and just let it go. You know what I mean?
The cool thing is that Horvath can apply his ability to have all these different characters in a smallish setting or whatever, right? And play with that and do that later on. Kind of like with maybe a book we'll talk about at some point tonight, but with Feral, right? How like Tony and company, they had a great book with Stray Dogs, but if that kept going, it would get boring with that story. So they developed something else that they could keep on going, right? Sure. As The Walking Dead will attest to, because that thing ran way too long. Speaking of running way too long, this dude gets up in the morning and he just goes and runs. He's like Forrest Gump, but smarter. What about you, Stu? We already talked to you, didn't we? This was your pick.
It's okay. Stu can pick it, man. He's been picking good books.
Yeah. Stu, why don't you throw it to Manny for his pick of the month? How about that?
Manny, on to you. Off the shitter and on to Manny.
Oh man,
I tried.
That's
hey,
that was beautiful, Stu. Gosh, books of the month. I'm gonna have to go. I really like Dark Age, but I actually think I might have liked Batman First Night a little bit better. I thought that was a really awesome throwback story. It put me into a very, very cool Batman place where it was everything that I expected it to be, but disarmingly different. And I don't know if that's because it's an age of Batman that I don't really truck with normally. I don't read a lot of old Batman books, and so because of that, it's like things like the Monster Men, things that it just felt refreshingly new and different. I love this this study of like the Monster Men and the way that they represent like these people just going full force at the elite and eating the rich, I guess is what I said in my review, where they represent like our base desire to do those things in spite of a war, in spite of a Great Depression. Like, there's this inclination for humans to do those things. And then Batman is representative of this like controlled change, this idea that people go out, and because morality is morality, and because right is right, and we should take up arms in order to defend what's right in spite of the corruption. Like, it's just really interesting where Batman is the tempered and measured response, which is not generally the case. Most people don't dress up like bats and go beat up people, but Batman in this case is the more measured response. And I don't know, I dug that meditation. I thought that the story worked, and the artwork was phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. That of course that team, we've seen them do phenomenal things in Ron V's Swamp Thing. So to see them come in here and give us something that is so different, really worked.
So is that Spicer who's coloring this?
Spicer, yep, Spicer and
Perkins and Spicer, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, compare it to Ron V, and it's totally different, right? In Swamp Thing, they're using all these really green, vibrant colors that kind of add this atmosphere of fear and I don't know, just that gross swamp aesthetic. And in this, they do the exact same thing. They're using color, but more subdued to pull you into that Depression era. And when they do choose to use color, it just fucking pops. And same thing with the artwork. It was so, every time you were in an environment in Swamp Thing, and I know that's just an excuse for me to talk about Ron V, so I'm using it. But when you were reading Swamp Thing, you were in every single one of those worlds. Whether you were in the swamp, whether you're back in India, whether you're in the cogs of the machine, right? Everything, you felt there. And this book puts you right into old New York, old Chicago. Everything about it works to be so fucking immersive. I really dug this book. It was I liked it, and now I'm rambling, so I'm gonna pass it off.
I liked Batman First Night. I would say that I did, out of the two Batman Elseworlds that we're talking about, between it and Dark Age, I did like Dark Age a little bit better, but that's because of Mike Allred, friend of the show, and just kidding. But I remember reading Batman First Night. I loved the artwork. Mike Perkins, Mike Spicer, thought the art was great. But I remember, as far as the story and the content, I just told everybody, it's like, yeah, it's like Batman Year One in 1939. If that's your vibe, go with it. I didn't pick up all those intricate details that you just mentioned. Makes me want to go back and reread it, because it sold really well at my shop, and most people that picked it up added it. They really liked it. Now all the young heads, all the young bucks out there, they were all like, purple gloves. When did this shit happen? When did this like obsession with Batman's purple gloves happen? Like, none of us ever cared. All of us were like, Batman's first costume, kind of dumb. Glad they fixed it, right? But nowadays, all these kids, was there a TikTok video or something about Batman's purple gloves? Was it Greg Capullo in 0 Year? Like, what the hell was going on with that?
Probably it.
Jesus. Speaking of purple gloves, this dude wears purple socks. Chris, what did you think about Batman First Night?
Do I? Checks. Let me check. I enjoyed it a lot. I like the time frame. We don't have a lot of stories like this set back in 1930s era. You know, right after the Depression.
I like all the pop culture references, right? Like, they're talking about Son of Frankenstein is on the marquee at the movie theater. You know, placing in 39, the year Batman debuted. So.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I think the standout for me was definitely the art. It just made the world feel so rich. And what's crazy, I think you go through a good portion of that book, and you don't even see Batman in his gear, in his getup, and until maybe you're like halfway through the book. And it doesn't have to. You don't have to rely on that. There's a lot of story to be told here. There's a lot of detective work to be done here, which is, I think, Batman at his best. So yeah, I really like this. And as I'm thinking about the book right now, I'm realizing how much I forgot. This was the week I had COVID, and I'm like, wow, what did I read? And it was like my pick of the week that week. So but yeah, I did like it a lot.
brain, bro.
Dude, man, that's a real thing, dude.
It really is.
It was good.
Was Robbie? I don't know. You guys are all comic heads, but like, was Alfred not a thing back in like the earliest Batman book? Like, why isn't Alfred there?
Alfred shows up later, doesn't he? I don't know if Alfred's in the first one. I know Gordon's in the first one. But I don't know if Alfred. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I read Detective 27. Does anybody else know?
And I just covered your one as
Alfred
well.
being at the beginning. No.
Well, it's just because it's weird. Batman is constantly talking to himself in this book. Like he's doing detective work and he's just like, oh, I have to do this. It's like when he has Alfred there as a sounding board, it's not as jarring. Like it's really weird. He talks to himself there. He talks to himself on the roof when he's fighting the guys. And it's like, I don't know if that's a thing that he just did a lot in old comics.
Every hero in old comics talk to themselves a lot, right? They're just like, let me leap from this building to the next.
Well, because I'm so used to it just being captions. Like Batman usually has some sort of inner dialogue, but like he's like legitimately talking out loud.
Dude, it's so crazy. Like when you read old comics and, back in the day, there were thought bubbles, right?
Yeah.
And, we kind of don't have thought bubbles anymore. So much so that when they pop up, they kind of feel out of place. Right. But, that's been replaced by the narrative boxes.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I reread Frank Miller Daredevil, I just think of the thought balloons or the thought bubbles as, just narration boxes. Right. But when you really start thinking about it, you're like, that's a lot of fucking thinking in an intense situation. That's a lot of inner monologue, like a whole goddamn soliloquy, so I don't know. I guess I think I like the move to narration better. But there is something fun about the thought bubbles. Yeah. Speaking of thought bubbles,
I'm having one right now.
You're having one right now, Nick. What do you think about Batman First Nights?
What I think about thought bubbles is I prefer them in the top corners instead of taking up immediate space around the character that's having them. Save it for dialogue. Dialogue.
I can dig that.
Because it gets out of the way of the art.
Sometimes the artist's composition doesn't lean. I'm scripting a Mortex right now, and I'm like, Kevin, what the fuck have you done? I can't fit any words.
You can't do anything. Make it dialogue. Let's let the art speak for itself.
You could do like
my job easy as shit.
Exactly.
You could do like that Sam and Twitch.
Oh man, that's Sam and Twitch. And that's Tom Orzechowski. And that was so dude. If you read the old school Sam and Twitch, they eventually had Alex Maleev on it, but it was somebody else in the beginning, more of a Todd type artist. They were doing that, but it was a black and white sepia toned book. So it works better. It's horrible. And it's one of the best letterers in the business. Or it was. He's old school, man. How old is Tom Orzechowski now?
Yeah, he's been around, man.
What the fuck's he doing lettering a comic, dude? Jesus. I'm sorry, Nick. We shat all over you, man.
It's time well spent, I think, because that was good. So First Night was in my top 4 of the month. So I'm glad that you brought it up. I just fell in love with the period. I fell in love with the year one Batman feel, obviously. I could have done without the monster element, but I loved everything else about it. I loved the interaction with the guy that runs the brothel, and one of the girls was there. And I loved that little scene. I mean, it was awful, but I love that scene because it felt very cinematic. It felt like I was watching a real classic, noir style film. And that's a testament to the art, the perspectives. Just every page of this book felt like a poster. It felt just so beautiful. I mean, the very first page with the landscape, the second page with the crowd of men dressed in their suits and their hats, and they're having that press conference or whatever it was.
So good.
It was so good. So
really
artistically, it's one of the best books of the month for sure.
Yeah.
Story wise, it's another Batman book, but I'm not bored of that yet. Despite how many different early Batman books we have, Gargoyle of Gotham, we have First Night, now we have the Mark Russell book, The Dark Age. So it's we have so many Batman books out, but I'm still not bored of that freaking character.
Most Batman books are about his beginning or his ending, right? It seems right?
Yeah, and I'm not bored of it, and neither are the people. They keep buying it. So
see, I love that monster element. I think you need that because I think Jurgens
that's a reference to the old school shit.
Well, and Jurgens is preaching a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of preaching in this book about fascism, the rise of fascism, the idea that your country, your life, we're getting into it. We just left a world war, or we're getting into a world war. We're getting into a depression, and everything's spiraling out of control. So what more uncontrollable is there than one of the fundamental rules of life, that you die is no longer a thing? when death doesn't apply, how freaking, what more of a loss of control is that? The one thing you can count, two things you can count on, death and taxes, and death doesn't even last anymore. Like it builds on that theme that everybody is out of control, and you can either become the monster men, or you can create meaning in restoring order. You can be a hero. You could be the rabbi character. You could be the brothel owner. You can take back your life. Like I just think it's such an interesting meditation.
I feel like there's a missed opportunity from DC not to market this as the man who killed Superman uses fuck in a Batman book, and we don't show his dick. Like, I think that's basically the pitch that Dan Jurgens did. Like, I want to say fuck in a book, so I don't know. What about you, Stu? What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, I loved it. Echo what you guys have said. The art, of course, is fantastic. I love the look and the design on Year One Batman. I love what Manny said about the historical element, like how it's, we hear elements, or we hear about Kristallnacht going on in Germany, and the Nazis rallying at Madison Square Garden and stuff like that. I like how they kind of punctuated that when Batman gets hurt by the monsters and the rabbi is the one who gives him sanctuary. And that conversation was, I thought, one of the best parts of the book for me. Like, how he kind of, he's at the end, he kind of tells him, I believe in your mission, but if you want to come back and, talk to somebody, because obviously, like we said already, he's talking to himself a lot. Like, I feel like you're a fractured soul who needs it, and I'm here for you. But I thought it was great. I like the Elseworld take on some of the characters. I love Maxie Zeus in this. That was dope. Like the brothel owner with a heart type deal. But yeah, and I thought the ending was fantastic. It was, book came out of nowhere. I thought, for me, definitely think they should have marketed it better, but I loved it.
I tell you what, the only reason why anybody our age gives a shit about Maxie Zeus is because we had to sit through episodes of Batman the Animated Series that had Maxie Zeus in them, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because every time I've read him in the comics, I'm like, this is stupid as hell, man. Stupid as hell. But I'll tell you what, nobody needs to sleep on the Clock King, because the Clock King was so badass in that Batman Animated Series. Like,
yes.
I know that he's being used isn't that Suicide Squad book that just came out? Is he in that? In the Dream Team book or whatever?
I'm reading that. No, I don't know.
Good for you, bro, because it blew, right? But anyway, speaking of better because of the animated series, Chris, Lost in Comics animated series is coming soon, right? It's kind of like the Youngblood animated special. It's coming. It's on the way. Man, I'm really rough at these tonight, y'all. I don't know what's going on. Chris, why don't you tell us your
Well, I'm just glad you didn't go with the obvious intro into, or you said, because I think it ended with speaking of blow, here's Chris.
Fuck, see, I'm off my game tonight, man.
I mean, you had a beautiful one right there.
Speaking of blow, his favorite movie is Blow. It's Chris from Lost in Comics. Why don't you tell us? Blow's a really good movie, by the way. Johnny Depp, Paul
very
Rubens,
good movie. Love that
Penelope
movie.
Cruz. Yeah, it's a great movie. What's your pick of the month, man?
I'm going with.
Is it Blow? Wow.
I'm gonna go with Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 3.
Nice.
I am digging this series. I really. What'd you say?
I said that's safe and normie, isn't it?
Well, you know what, dude? I mean, that's the thing. I want to kind of go against the grain, but every time I read this book and it ends up being my pick of the week, I'm like, it's Marvel. I'd really prefer it not be a Marvel comic as my pick of the week, like internally. But when I read it, I'm like, damn, this is a freaking good comic, man. Like,
yeah.
I posed the question on my review, and I'm like, doesn't it feel like this is only 3 issues, and it feels like we've been open to this much larger world, and it feels like we've read more than 3 issues just because there's so much meat on the bone in every one of these issues. You feel like you're immersed into this world where so much has happened already, and I'm like, that's the end of issue 3. And I love that, dude. Like, and no matter how much I love my indies and I want to talk about those books and highlight those books, I keep going back when I read this. I'm like, hot damn, this book is just good. It's exceeded my expectations. I think it's really put Marvel comics. There's been a few books, this one and maybe a couple others we'll talk about tonight. Avengers Twilight, I think, is another one. But there's just a lot of good things happening over at Marvel, and it feels like this is all kind of happening right here at the beginning of 2024. Covers are still the same, right? And quality's still crap, but the storytelling, having Jonathan Hickman gear this ship. Man, it's been fantastic, and it's a comic I look forward to every time it releases, and it's got a little bit of everything. You've got the story, the Marco Cicchetto art, you've got adventure, you've got drama, you've got basically everything that you really have ever wanted in a Spider-Man comic in this book. Like we've been robbed so much of what would it look like if Peter had been, what would, through all those years, what would that relationship look like? What would it actually look like if it wasn't this, will they, won't they between Peter and MJ, just constant turmoil? Like, are they going to get together? Are they going to break up? Or is she going to go get married? Like, I love that these 3 issues, they're stable. They've got kids. He's got this relationship with his daughter, and now they're going, the daughter being aware that he is, Spider-Man. The little moment at the beginning where she's helping pick out the costume, and she's like and they're like testing each one of the different colors of costumes. There's just so much to love about that. Like, you're getting into the nitty-gritty, into the details of, like I said, it was like the best. It's like a what if story on steroids, and all these things that you wish you could have seen, or these, as fans, we wish that a Spider-Man story could be. We're actually getting it. And even the Ben and Jonah stuff with them kind of on this quest for truth, and they're doing their own thing. I'm a big fan of that. I heard somebody else saying, like, oh, yeah, this is not a Ben and this is not a Ben and Jonah story. I'm like, no, I like those little tidbits. And then this issue, Peter's kind of dipping his foot into their world. He goes into their new headquarters, and it looks like there's a likely team up to happen there where he'll start helping his uncle. And like I said, guys, it's refreshing, especially for those of us who have tried to hang in with the ASM stuff. Like, I'm always off and on, as I know you are, Robbie, and so many of us, right? Like, we're in it, we're out of it. I got out of it prior to as a Gang War, and then I got in for Gang War, and then I read this issue yesterday. I'm like, dude, what the hell, man? Like,
dude, I tell you what, I'm so done with Amazing Spider-Man, and I think part of the reason is reading Amazing Spider-Man this week and then reading Ultimate Spider-Man, and I'm just like, oh God, what am I doing?
Yeah,
what am I doing?
See, before
it's not hard, guys. Just do what he's doing over here.
We didn't have that thing prior to this, right? So we were like drudging through this and like, okay, oh, here's a nice arc. Here, we'll stay on for 3 or 4. This is a pretty good arc, and then it ends up being crap again. So this has been refreshing. It just, every time I read it, it is one of my favorite books, and I look forward to the most. It's freaking amazing. 4 jabronis. Freaking amazing.
3 issues better than the last 5 to 6 years of any Amazing Spider-Man comic.
That's wild.
Straight up.
Yes.
Straight up. That's the power
Easily.
of Hickman. It's the power of Cicchetto. Cicchetto's off on the next issue. They got another artist coming in. So we'll see what happens, because Marvel can't keep a team together. And I've heard the rumors that Hickman's only signed up for 12 issues and he's going to be done. But I don't know. Those are just rumors, so don't hold that. Here's the one thing. Now, I love Ultimate Spider-Man. Let's speculate a little bit. I read I think it was a Bleeding Cool article, actually. It's random, but a Bleeding Cool article that actually was explaining nuance of story about a book, okay? And it was pointing something out. It's very obvious when it gets pointed out. This Peter has not learned his lesson in responsibility yet, right? Yep. He's swinging around with his daughter on his back. He's coming at these villains like he's unstoppable. And he's, Shocker kicked his ass. What the hell is this dude going to do against Bullseye? He doesn't know. He hasn't learned to look before he leaps. He hasn't learned that yet, right? Now, typically what you would have in a book like this is you would have the death of someone to then teach that person this responsibility. Historically in Spider-Man books, it's Uncle Ben. But in this reality, Uncle Ben's still alive. It would be cheap to make it Uncle Ben. Yeah. Do you think it's Mary Jane or one of the kids? Do you think something like that could be built? Because that's something that's happening, is that, and Hickman's clever, right? So he's going to try to inverse and twist what we're typically expecting from Spider-Man. Right now, he's given us what we think we want, but it's only noticeable once it gets pointed out. Peter is acting incredibly irresponsible and full of himself. He's acting like he does when he first gets the Spider-Man powers in the original story. So something's coming. It's going to fuck it all up. And I bet he's going to trust slight spoil. He's going to trust the Green Goblin, right? And that's going to be the downfall. And I love, for instance, I love the Ben and Jonah stuff, because Ben being the partner in business with Jonah and taking Jonah out of the Daily Bugle already because Kingpin's there, right? This recontextualizes or redefines and explores in a new way what can be the dynamic between Jonah and Peter and the media, right? But we shall see what happens. What are your thoughts, Nick? What are you thinking about Ultimate?
Oh man, you just blew my mind.
I know.
Because what makes it even worse, if we go down that path, what makes it worse is he voluntarily took this on.
Yeah.
And whereas in the past it was forced upon him and he just had to react. Now there's the way that they're reacting is very similar, being so careless in the early days, but he learns that lesson pretty damn quick in the original run. And he's going to learn it potentially just as quick in this run, but in a way that is going to be a lot more personal, and he's going to take that on. So that just kind of broke my heart.
Damn it, we're going to be hurt, man. We're going to be hurt.
Thinking that's on its way.
We're going to be crying reading Spider-Man number 6. I swear, 6 or 8. It's going to happen in 6 or 8. I guarantee.
Yeah, for sure. And anyway, so a lot of great moments in this book, just like the first 2 issues. Absolutely loved it. So far we picked like my top 5. So this is outstanding and awful for the second round. But I love the Bullseye characterization in here too. It reminded me of the Netflix show, just how freaking accurate and obviously Bullseye, right? But like seeing it used the way that it was used in here, it was just so cool to see that battle between the 3 of them and like the construction site and shit falling down and everything. It was so awesome. It was great. And the daughter moments in the beginning with the costumes and everything and the little throwbacks or winks to other costumes. It's just handled so well. And so, yeah, you guys covered it already. It's just a great book.
Hell yeah. What about you, Stu? What are you thinking?
Yeah, just every time I open up this book and I read it, I'm reminded of that Wizard magazine contest to name the baby back in the mid 90s that obviously never came to fruition. But it's like, I'm just waiting for the other foot to drop, knowing that, this is way too happiness for him to have. You guys have made so many great points already. He's definitely walking around super naive with it. Like it's cute and all that he's taking his daughter out and that she had a hand in designing the costume, but you're just, I'm just gritting my teeth, wincing, waiting for something awful to happen. But I thought this was Chiquetto's best issue yet. I thought that's depressing to hear he's not going to be around next time. But I thought Ultimate Bullseye just looked amazing. I thought what Nick said about the characterization, his voice, the way he was talking shit during the fight, it was just so dead on. But yeah, a lot of interesting things going up. I love the Jonah and Uncle Ben stuff. I love how that's all playing out, and I love that conversation they had with Peter. It's just so good, man. And like you guys said, it's everything you want from a Spider-Man book. Spider-Man has not always been like my number one read or my favorite character, but this has just been so great. And just to see him happy, even for a couple issues, just going all the way back from when they, he's been slapping around pregnant women and, dealing with unhappiness after unhappiness. It's glad they let him finally be happy, at least for an arc or two.
I love the design on Bullseye and Goblin.
Yeah.
Like they look modern and practical, this design for Ultimate Green Goblin is exactly what they should have done in that movie. Like that would work in a movie 100%. Cause it also feels very much embedded in what most of us think of nowadays, especially with the success of the MCU. When we think of technology armor in the Marvel universe, we think of Iron Man. So they all have a slightly Iron Man kind of look to them, but different enough that's close enough to their original comic book look that I really, really like. And it's the same kind of vibe that happened in the original Ultimate books. Like when you were seeing like the Ultimates costumes, you're like, oh, they got like stitching and like threads and patches and it looks real. Now it looks dated, right? Because then everybody kind of copies that for a while. So this will probably be the dated looking thing. But Spider-Man always has to have that clear Spider-Man costume, right? But I also love the concept of Who was it that hacked? It was Goblin that hacked into his suit, right?
Yeah, that was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Dude,
and like
that
turned
was
his
really,
mask off.
That was so, and it just goes to show you, man, this dude is naive, like you said, Stu. He's setting himself up for a very, very big fall. And is it going to be Uncle Ben? I mean, but wouldn't that be obvious? I don't know. What are you thinking, Manny, down there?
I liked it. I mean, I still like this book. I think the book is doing really great things with the characters that we're not getting in the mainline books, to echo what you guys said, or mainline book, like, to echo what you guys said. I'm disappointed in the reveal of who the Green Goblin is. I shouldn't be, but I am. I really wanted it to be J. Jonah, because like they're friends. Like we haven't set up like a Harry Peter friendship, and now they got to build a friendship. I'm like, all right, that's fine. That's fine. I think the person that's going to die is going to be Peter. I think Peter's going to die, and then Miles is going to take over, because it's an Ultimate Spider-Man book, and that's what happens. But I don't know. I like it. I really thought that Ultimate Gambit looked really, really cool when he was throwing the cards at Green Goblin and stuff. I thought that was really dope. I didn't think we were going to get an X-Men character in this book, but I really dug that. And no, it's just it's really good. There's a lot of fun moments. The moment with his daughter on the roof was really fun. I love that moment in Captain Marvel when Monica Rambeau did that with Captain Marvel, so it was really cool to see it here. Yeah, I don't know. It was a good book. It's
a great book. Good pick. Good picks all the way around so far. Let me see if I can fuck it up. All right. Out of my top 3, only one was picked, and that was Helen. So, God.
Nice.
It's tough. All right, I'll forgive one thing I don't like about this book, and I'll go with Transformers number 6 by Daniel Warren Johnson, just so that we can continue talking about this book. Chris, you were mentioning how Marvel's got some stuff going on right now. People are getting excited about certain Marvel books, not all of them. In fact, this week, issues of Hulk, issues of Amazing Spider-Man, and other issues highlighted even more so the problem with Marvel right now. Inconsistency in the art teams, stories kind of going too long, price points being too high, anniversary issues for no reason, things like that, right? Because for instance, with Miles Morales this week, if you're spending $9 for a milestone issue, aren't you expecting that to either be a conclusion or a start or a complete self-contained story? Not just the middle of a story, right? Like it's
horrible.
It's weird, man.
Yeah.
But with the Ultimate books, with Avengers Twilight, starting to like get some traction right now on a few books. They need to look at this, get the right lessons from them, and keep going. Because right now, Ultimate Spider-Man is by far outselling my top-selling comics at the store. Which right now, Batman's been diving down, honestly. Amazing Spider-Man has maintained, but Ultimate Spider-Man has blew that away. And right at the heels, and I'm talking about just single digits separating them, Transformers, Duke, and Cobra Commander. Like right there, like selling amazing. Transformers is the head of that Energon universe. Daniel Warren Johnson, dynamic, exciting artwork, tragic, brutal storytelling. There are stakes in this, right? And in the final issue, spoilers, you get the death of a character. You get the death of Sparky. And it emotionally is strong. The one thing I don't like about this damn book, though, this dude just thought, let me walk into this glowing piece of alien technology. I think that will fix anything. Or it will just kill me and everybody's fucked. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was nothing set up to get Sparky to realize that that's all he had to do.
Nope.
Aside from all of that, man, I love everything. The moment when Optimus looks at Soundwave and says, let's end this right now, and Soundwave looks at Ravage, his fucking homie, his pet. You fuck with my cat, we're done, bro. It's war for fucking millennia. You know what I'm saying? And I love this book so freaking much. Cliff Jumper, when he has to make the decision to kill Starscream or not, he makes the right choice. I'm tired of death. I'm over it. But then, what's her name? Carly? Is it Carly?
Carly, the young.
All of a sudden, you think her response would be good for you, Cliff Jumper. She's like, nah, bro, what the hell? You could have ended it right now, right? I love this book. Optimus being a true heroic figure. We don't have anybody in comics that's like that right now. Like that, like messianic is the right word to use, right? Like he's being portrayed as more of the core of what a hero is, as like a sacrificial messianic type figure in the core of all of us. He's portraying that more than like Superman, right? Who is the original version of that in comics, right? This book blows me away. The art, I'm going to miss Daniel Warren Johnson on the artwork. I hope he comes back after the Corona arc, but also it's Jorge Corona following him up. So I'm just as excited for that. This book has got it all. It's got great portrayals of these characters. It's got impactful moments. It is action-packed, and it is also just so much gonzo bonkers fun. There's literally a sound effect that says, "You know the song." And right at that point in our head, Transformers! More than
So
meets
good.
the eye. Dude, it just, you feel every single thing, and it all, strip all of the branding, strip the franchise, strip the Transformers, strip everything away. It's a story about war and war's effect on individuals and relationships and communities. That's what it's about. It's a really good exploration on the effects of war in a sci-fi, mainstream, jamming ass fucking situation. Speaking of jamming ass situations, what about you, Nick? What do you think about Transformers?
Dude, I loved it too. It's also a book about just like universal constants, right? It's like they had that moment. Sparky and Optimus had that moment talking about their experiences in war and battle, and they were both like veterans in their own right. And how that's just like a universal constant no matter where you are. Another book that explores that is If You Find This, I'm Already Dead. She realizes a lot of that has those same revelations when she's on this alien planet, seeing the way that people have been treated. And it's a really depressing thing, to be honest with you. And hopefully that's not the case. We could figure out a way to solve all this. But this book is insane. I can't wait for the next arc. And this is coming from somebody that didn't necessarily grow up just drenched inside of Transformers lore and TV shows and figures and movies and things like that. This is taking somebody who has a real loose knowledge of Transformers and making them a fan to the point where every time this book comes out, I cannot wait to read it. And it's usually in my top 2 or 3 of that week. So, I mean, props to Daniel Warren Johnson for creating such like a human book and having the kinetic energy that he has in there, like his words that he splashes in the backgrounds and stuff to complement the art and give you something to like say inside your head while it's happening. It's just like, it's such a great design choice for him. And I'm sad to see him leave the art. He's going to be bringing that same energy in the story, and Corona's coming up next, similar vibe. So I'm not too worried about this shift. And I can't believe I'm a big Transformers fan right now. A year ago, I never would have said that. I'd be like, it's cool, lots of history, but like I wasn't invested. Now I am, and it's all because of him, man.
Now, I don't want us to worry too much because, and maybe things have changed. Who knows? I think it would be a bad career move for Daniel Warren Johnson not to return to the art on this book.
Yeah.
On that retailer call where they were telling us everything about the book, and they told us that Bumblebee was going to get his head blown off and all of this, right? Daniel said, because somebody asked, how long are you doing the art? He said, I'm doing the art for 12 issues, but I am going to be writing for longer than that. That you could take that as he's doing 6 issues, he's taking a 6-issue break, and he's working on arc 3.
Sure.
You could, but they ride the fuck out of this. I know Daniel. I know he's a real artist and all that stuff, and he wants to make a statement and move on to the next project. Probably already got ideas for his next project, right?
Yeah.
But please, Daniel, for the sake of this industry, just stay there. Just stay there. Keep this energy going, man.
He's selling pages for $10,000 a piece, man. He better be staying.
No shit, dude. But this is just going to make his next. Well, it's just going to make his next creator on launch even bigger, though.
Yeah.
And then he gets all that money. Hasbro don't get shit. Kirkman don't get shit. It's all him. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
And his books just keep launching bigger and bigger and bigger. This dude's a rising star. He is blazing.
Look what he's doing with Extremity and Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Holy
no shit.
shit.
A book that most people didn't give a shit about.
No.
Right? I'm so pumped. I'm not getting the artist edition. I just can't afford it right now. But Daniel, if you're out there, you want some promotion, I'll do a top down, bottoms up. we'll have Nick drive down. We'll do it together.
We'll do it together.
Nick?
We'll collab.
Send us 2 copies, and we'll do it together. Anyway, Stu, what about you? What are you thinking about Transformers?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Nick, as in like I didn't grow up and I'm not a hardcore fan, but this has definitely made me one. It's just been it's been so good. Like, you put DWJ in these epic situations, and he just knows how to wring so much personality and personal emotional stories out of these characters. I think it's fantastic. This issue was par for the course as the series is done. The art was crazy, the stakes were high, and man, that last page with the "Where's my dad" sign, dude, I was cutting onions, man. That was like, all his book. I cried reading Murder Falcon, and like I would cry reading this book if I was more attached to this property. But at the same time, dude, that one hit me. That was an amazing moment. And yeah, I like what you guys say with the like the song, and like he had the heavy metal, I think, in the last one of the time before that. But there's just been so many. When I think about this book, I think about all those small little, like either human to human moments or human to transformer moments, like that. The conversation that Spike's dad and Optimus had about war, and just, I don't know, those type of moments just are what he does so well, and what really shine in this book. And I just love that he stuck to the formula. I'm with you, Robbie. I hope maybe we could get another 6 issues at the tail end of this bad boy. That would be sick. But yeah, I'd love to see more art from him.
Yeah, just keep fucking doing it, Daniel. Please just keep doing it, because you're doing the Lord's work right now. Is what you're doing, right? Like D-Dubs is doing a hell of a job. And you can tell he's having fun with those pages, right? And you just now perfected how to draw the Autobot and Decepticon logos. So you can't stop now, right? You can't stop now. Yeah. Speaking of can't stop now and perfecting logos, what about you, Manny?
Boom. Yeah. It continues to be an amazing series. I love that it doesn't feel like the end of an arc. It doesn't feel like it's over, but yet there's still like something final about. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. It feels like the end of this arc without feeling at all like it ends the story. You want to keep reading. You want to keep going. I love the way that I didn't notice much in this book, because we've been so robot battle focused, how wide the shots are, or the framing and composition is, because we're seeing these giant robots fight. So when Sparkplug is standing there and he's about to sacrifice himself, the camera is so low, and the sense of scale now, because we are as the framing of it, the composition of it, we are looking at it from our size now. It's not a tiny human next to a giant robot. It is a human looking at this gigantic situation. And like, so when he walks up to that glowing thing and he's puts his hands on it, the sense of scale is disarming. It's crazy, because it's been 5 issues of this, and this moment works. It pulled you in. And then they do the same thing at the hospital, where you're tight and you're right there with the kid.
Spike?
Spike, yeah, you're there with Spike. And
you remember Sparkplug's real name. But
because I've been watching Transformers on Tubi.
Nice.
And I just remembered doing dishes the other day and hearing Sparky. But regardless, Sam, this issue ends, or it's punctuated. I shouldn't say ends. It's punctuated with those human moments. Even the moment at the church, that super deep, resonant moment. Was it a church? Wherever it was, when Sam died.
Chapel, right?
Yeah. When that happened, it still was an Autobot perspective. And this was down to that human level, and I freaking dug it. So yeah, this was just really well done. Like everything that D-Dubs does, this was really well done. And I'm with Stu. I don't know how many times I've read Murder Falcon, but I cry every fucking time. And even here, that moment that, just like Robbie said, comes out of left field, I'm so fucking compelled. And it hit me. And I'm the same age as Stu and Nick. We came up on the tail end of Transformers, so I don't have that same connection. And yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing book.
I just wish that there was like maybe something to explain like the draw of it, like what gave him this idea. Sparky, was he fucking tanked? Right? Does this all happen in one day? Is he still drunk? Like, what's going on, man? What's pulling him in?
The other frustrating part is nobody reacts.
Yeah,
that's what got me.
Yeah.
He walks up to it. Optimus is like, Sparky, and then he's like, he goes into the Allspark. I don't know what the hell, the energy source, and then nobody reacts.
The Allspark, yeah.
Nobody reacts.
And
he
then
picks
he
it up,
just
puts it back in. He's super.
He's like,
Saiyan
your
now.
sacrifice will not be in vain. And I'm like,
And then
bro,
he
you
starts
cared
kicking
more
ass.
for that fucking deer you stepped on in issue
right,
2.
right. Yeah.
But it's an instinctual moment of surrender. I think the reason why only Optimus says, Sparky, is because that moment is these two guys who have been in leadership and have seen the struggle of war, and ultimately Sparky surrenders. Same way that Cliffjumper surrenders the fight. He doesn't kill because he surrenders. Optimus doesn't continue the fight with Soundwave because he surrenders. It's that theme of surrender, and that so yeah, I don't know. It worked on a thematic level, even if narratively it was clunkily handled.
Yeah. Are you willing to end it? There could have been something, and maybe because right now I'm doing a revisit. I did a top-down look at issue number 1, and I was able to do that after I had read issue 6, right? So I was able to contextualize it with the whole series, and it made the first page in issue number 1 mean so much more. Like when you go back and just look at the first page, it means so much more knowing where the story goes. Maybe there are more things thread in because Sparky does spend a lot of time with Optimus, and I think he does see him use the Matrix to heal somebody, right? And he tries to sacrifice himself with his own life force. So I think he gets the idea that his life force will. But let's be honest, like Sparky's like this and the Transformers like this. So whatever.
Maybe it's like the unlimited. Maybe it's like the unlimited potential of like the human biology.
It is,
and the energy.
You've got the power. He's got the touch, man.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. That's what it is.
We are
maybe
part
that was
of
the
the
song
all.
we were supposed to be. I mean, the song. Maybe it was like actually we don't. Was it the touch? Was it Dare? Was it the theme song? D-Dubs, let us know.
Let's ask him. We'll ask him.
Dude, Dare to be stupid. So I'm riding in the car. I think Ryland is asleep. And I said, I got to dedicate a song that speaks to me about my son. And I put that on, and Tiff goes, gosh, you're so mean. So I went to turn it off, and Ryland now refers to that as his song because he was awake in the backseat, and he dug the hell out of that song. So we listen to Dare to be Stupid now. Probably not nearly as much as the touch, but we
motherfucker's going to go to church and be like, you want to know the song my daddy taught me about me? Dare to be stupid, dare to be stupid. And one cool person's going to be like, Transformers, hell yeah, 86, baby. Speaking of 86, this dude was doing shots in 1986. He could easily be anybody's father here on the panel, except for all the rest of damn. Speaking of 1986, that was a really cool year. Speaking of cool, thoughts on Transformers?
Man, you guys have brought up a lot of great points. You've kind of said everything that I would say, except... I'm always thinking about, you guys know, I'm always thinking about that end of the year award show. And I'm always thinking about, the different categories that we have. And I'm thinking, and I read this issue, I was like, this is quite possibly the best single issue of the year. And for many reasons, right? But the way that and Manny kind of alluded to it, but the way that Daniel Warren Johnson closes out this arc, giving it a sense of finality, like, man, that could have been the end of the book potentially, right? But then also opening up these new threads. I mean, writers just lack that capability sometimes. Like we get like a last, a cliffhanger, on the last page a lot of times. But man, he just clinched this issue so well, and the energy ramping up from the very beginning, that frenetic energy, you see it in the art, man. If you pulled up a page of those first couple of pages, it just slow and steady, and then it gets wild up to that point where the theme song is supposed to come in. It's incredible. I'm in the same boat with what everybody can in the chat can witness here is 4 out of the 5 people on this panel were not. It sounds like we weren't huge Transformers fans as kids. And this is not a property that I really connected with even as a kid. I enjoyed some of it. but coming into this comic with being a very casual, passerby, to be this into a comic, to have my eyes kind of get a little misty there in this issue, I'm like, dude, this is a Transformers comic. And what Daniel Warren Johnson has done with this series, man, like, it's in the sales, and this work is resonating with people for all sorts of reasons. And I think there's even people now that are still holding on to, yeah, but I wasn't a Transformers fan when I was growing up. Forget that. Like, I'm telling you, get the trade when this comes out. If you haven't read it, there's something, it's just, and all the titles are great in the Energon universe, but this Transformers title with Daniel Warren Johnson at the helm, it's special, man. Like, I hope that he in some aspect stays with this, because yeah, he's given us it's almost, yeah, he's like a comic deity right now, man. Like, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's the rock star right now. He's the Rob Liefeld of comics. I mean that in the best possible way. Like,
both sides, like writing and art. Like,
in fact, he's better than Rob Liefeld then.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's almost an insult, but not. Liefeld is a fantastic artist in his own right, but Daniel Warren Johnson, man, top 3 on both writer and artist side of current, artists and writers.
And as far as just writer artist, he's at the tip top right now.
Writer artist.
Yeah.
Him and Patrick Horvath, right?
Maybe Jeff Lemire. Yeah.
Jeff Lemire. Yeah. Fish Flies.
Top,
yeah. There's some other people I'm sure that are out there doing good work that's skipping our minds right now. But Transformers
working his way.
I love what you're saying. Like, most of y'all are talking about, don't really have as much of a connection with Transformers as maybe somebody else, right? And it just blows me away that y'all are still resonating with it as much as like someone like me is, right? Who is like super attached to this franchise, who has toys and shit, and Fable's loving it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And every Transformer head I know loves it. And I've heard that shit too, Chris, at my shop on YouTube. Oh, I've never really been into Transformers. It doesn't matter. Are you into good comics? Because what better time? Like, I was never always, for instance, I would never consider myself a Conan the Barbarian fan, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a good example.
The new stuff's really turning me into one.
Yeah.
So why not? All right, let's try something new here for round 2. Ooh. Nick, you're next.
Yep.
Round 2, second pick. You lead the conversation.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, I'm gonna pick. So we picked my top 5, guys, which is like never happens. So this is so cool. I'm gonna highlight another book though that it's a new number 1. It blew me away. I love the idea of it. I love the execution of it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. We've already talked about this guy once before, in passing. We're talking about Ram V's Dawn Runner, issue number 1. So Evan Cagle is on this one too. Dave Stewart and Aditya Bidikar. I'm not too familiar with Evan's work. Maybe I've seen some of his stuff in other things. You guys can, remind me of what he's putting together. But this one was really cool because it gives me vibes of like Ghost in the Shell. It gives me like even some like Matrix stuff. Manny was talking about scale previously with Transformers. This book is all about scale because it's essentially kaiju versus mech. Kind of a storyline here. What I love about this one is they've kind of like You've Been Canceled or Running Man, something like that. They've actually turned this dangerous thing into like a sport, right? With spectators and sponsors and corporations running like the advancement of technology to take on these mechs. And they've developed these athletes to pilot these mechs. And there's this one pilot at the top of her game right now, testing out some really like not well tested suit that they're going to put out right now. And that suit, the assimilation between the pilot and the suit itself, I love that part so much in this. It reminds me of like a Matrix pod kind of a thing. There's like impossible wiring and connections, like a Neuralink kind of a thing going on. And I just love the theatrics of marrying the person with the machine to take on this beast, right? And the beast is not only like a run-of-the-mill thing, it's like the boss, right, of this entire environment that they've kind of walled off at this point. There's a lot of cool political intrigue going on. Of course, people trying to push things beyond the barriers of science. And of course, we get like it's like a supernatural element towards the end. We don't have all the answers, or at least I couldn't derive all the answers. But there seems to be, I don't know if it's like a lot of emotion happening in the same place and the times are overlapping, or it's like another reality or something like that. But there seems to be some kind of heavy emotional overlays at the very end of this book. And it's going to be kind of see to get the answers to those questions. So I loved the Dawn Runner #1. I'm not really into like kaiju kinds of things, but I think the execution was really well handled here. And man, I'm really excited to see where this issue goes. But Stu, man, we're going to go to you. Did you read Dawn Runner from Round V? What did you think of it?
I did. Thanks to our little look ahead on Sunday. I was completely asleep on that one. You pointed out to me, so I was able to read it. Yeah, I loved it. I did have some problems with Cagle's artwork during the action scenes, like distinguishing what was what on the mechs, like at some point. But overall, I thought the artwork was brilliant throughout. And yeah, Cagle's done that incredible series of Detective Comics covers. That's what I know him from. I don't know. I'm sure he's done other stuff, but yeah, I loved it. I love like the like the Pacific Rim feel of it. I like how these pilots are superstars and the press is all over them, and it's like this huge thing. But it was dope, man. It didn't feel like the strongest thing Rom V has on the shelf right now, but at the same time, I enjoyed it enough to check out issue 2. Like the ending was especially intriguing. I thought that was brilliantly done, and figuring out the mystery behind what was going on there with the malfunction or the hacking or whatever it was definitely has me intrigued. But yeah, the color palette was also brilliant throughout, dude. I thought the interiors of this were amazing. I thought the story felt a little too familiar to me to like be one of my top picks of the week, of the month. But regardless, I enjoyed this one quite a bit.
Yeah. Speaking of picks being the top of the week, I don't know, Manny, what'd you think of speaking of having great interior in artwork?
Yeah,
Manny,
it ain't easy, is it?
Yeah. It was good. It was good. What struck me, thanks. I think, yeah. I think what struck me about this one, of anything in it, because it wasn't totally what I was. I don't know, for something Rom V, I always expect like something super esoteric, and this was very straightforward. Yeah. Rom still does really smart things. Like there's a line in this issue where the guy's like, "It's not about it's about having a big dick," but that's not what he says. It's like how you use your tools or some shit. And it's such a fucking cringy line, but Rom knew exactly where to put it and where it needs to go. So we instantly hated this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like it worked. It was very well handled. But the coloring is what struck me in this book. It's the same color palette that's being used in a lot of books. That kind of earthy tones, it's semi-muted kind of colors, very warm.
Orange.
Yeah, orange.
Orange and brown is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it's the same color palette that's being used in a ton of books. But what they're doing is, or what happens in this book, I should say, is the emphasis on foreground and background. When you read this, everything looks like it's happening in 3D space. There's subtle shifts in tone that really do set that apart. Motif-wise, everybody's almost elongulated. So like when they have that generic in the mech kind of scene where they've got the helmet on and there's all the pipes and shit, it fits in visually with that same motif because everybody's got that elongulated thing. So it's that extension of humanity as the mechs are this extension of the will and the humans that are driving them. I think that's really smart. There's also this moment where towards the end of the book where it gets kind of jaggy between two panels. And when I'm talking about that elongulating, that stretching towards the stars, man, building something so far beyond themselves, demonstrating their will and their mastery. When you get that,
right? Dragata-esque, right?
Yes, very Dragata-esque, especially that screen tone stuff that they're using in those scenes. But when you get that jagginess, when you get that like, it looks like a waveform almost, it's like it works so well with everything subliminally they had been setting up because everything is stretched, everything is pulled. Now it's literally being ripped apart in the bottom of that page. So yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff happening in this book. Again, not as heady as I want from Rom V, but it's still a really well-made comic, and the artwork is fantastic, and the coloring even more so.
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed just like the world building in here as well. Like I totally get the comments of it doesn't feel like a ROM book, but that doesn't mean it's not still enjoyable and there's a good world building going on. Like he set up a lot of cool things. Like he's basically like popularized these kaiju battles, right? He set up an interesting world where like we're far in the future and we're playing with science in ways we probably shouldn't be playing with it. We're assimilating with technology the ways that we shouldn't do it. It sounds familiar. It feels familiar from other stories, but he's putting his own little spin on this. And there might be some other tricks obviously coming that we just don't anticipate yet. And I just like how he's playing with familiar things, but he's putting his own little spin on it. It seems pretty straightforward. I bet we're going to get some cool twists and turns here in the future. And I mean, like the artwork blew me away in this book too. Like I liked all the creative choices they made in here. And I especially liked the references to some of the other things out there like Ghost in the Shell and things like that and Matrix and whatnot. So that totally blew me away too. Chris, did you read this one? What'd you think about it, man?
Yeah, I did read it. And I almost feel like I think I had maybe 3 or 4 people tell me through social media or on my video that I do every week, like, oh, I'm surprised this wasn't in your top 3. And it wasn't that I hated it. I thought it was a solid issue. I think I'm kind of echoing what a lot of people in the chat are saying and what Manny said. It didn't feel like a ROM book. I trust Ram V though. I think we have a lot to come. But this issue was a lot of world building. And for somebody that really, myself, relationship work and character development is what really resonates with me, what I really thrive on. And this issue didn't have a whole lot of that. I didn't feel any connection to the main character. I didn't feel any particular way about any of the characters. It was just like, okay, that was pretty good. And honestly, if it wasn't Ram, I may not continue the series. That's how I feel about it. But because I know it is Ram, I'm going to read the whole thing because I trust whatever work he does. By the end, we're going to be like, that's what we were doing. Like, and I will I'll read the entirety of it. But I didn't love it, and I wanted to love it. And there's certain writers that we normally resonate with. There's times, I don't know if we're going to talk about it today, but the Batman book that came out yesterday, that's another one. Love the art. I didn't love the story, and I love Mark Russell. Y'all know I love Mark Russell. I have a lot of love for that dude, and it kind of like pains me to like say these things out loud and put a video out and to say I didn't love that thing. But you have to be honest, right? And I feel that way about Dawn Runner. I felt that way about Batman yesterday. So yeah, but it's Ram V. I'll be there. I'll take the ride. I will take the journey for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we've come to know and love from Ram's writing is these great characters that he develops. And, maybe they're not characters we can relate with, like in Rare Flavors or something like that, or Layla Starr or something, but we can at least appreciate the journey that they go on. And it's so articulate. It's handled really well. And there's development and there's things we can relate to because there's a human element to all of his stories, but like the characters are so out of this world that it's just hard to like connect with them at first. But over time, you learn the humanity side of all of his characters. This might be a thing like that where we just know a little bit. Maybe the character is going to be this combination of technology and human we haven't quite explored yet. So I'm holding out that there's going to be some kind of revelation, some kind of development we just don't see yet and see what's going on. But I think the art's strong enough to just hang out and see what's going to be happening in the future. So, yep, totally.
In Ram, we trust.
Yep, indeed we do. Robbie, man, did you read this one? What'd you think, bud?
I read this one. I want to point out Damien's comment. Dawn Runner seemed both overly familiar and a little sloppy. I would say definitely seemed overly familiar. I don't think it seemed sloppy. I think it was a good enough story, but I really want to double what Chris just said and said, if this wasn't Ram, I wouldn't read issue 2. There wasn't enough to distinguish it from everything else, right? Like you guys have been talking about all the influences. Pacific Rim is something that a lot of people are going to think of. Nick, you keep talking about the connection between the machine and the man. I'm a huge fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion. That really does it in a very philosophical and impactful and important way, right? I do trust Ram. I'm glad, Nick, that you mentioned the idea that this is kind of being almost commercialized in a way. And then the one intriguing thing to me Stu mentioned was the ending with this malfunction and this secrecy about it. Is that connected? That's something that I think will differentiate this from other mech stories. I do trust Rom V. I trusted him with Carnage. I was slightly let down. We find out after the fact, Rom has no problems telling everybody, no, fuck those editors on Carnage, because I did not enjoy doing that book. This is him though. This is him, creator owned, Dark Horse. They're really trying to dive into this mode. I have faith in it, but there wasn't something that it was a little too overly familiar for me. But I do trust that Rom's going to take us to a place that we haven't necessarily seen in this. He understands those. I know he's a big anime and manga fan, so I know he's got Evangelion in his mind. He's got Pacific Rim in his mind. He's got Big O. He's got all these different things in his mind, and he's playing with us, right? But will our patience, and I think he's earned the place of our patience, right? Like him and Hickman could be a simple story told in a complex way, like a friend of ours, right? So I did enjoy it with the art. I didn't quite pick up the scale. I like the sense of motion that I'm getting from the book, but I did feel like the scale was a little, I don't know. I didn't pick up on the depth and like that Manny was talking about. So this is definitely something I think I need to rewatch. But at the same time, sometimes a paycheck's a paycheck, and sometimes let's make an easy pitch that somebody might want to check out because there's a Godzilla Kong movie coming out. I don't know, right? But I think he's got something to say in the genre. All right, Nick, you did a really great job there.
Yeah,
we got a special guest.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
A man who helped me found this show, who hasn't been here in a long time. And I'm so happy that his bosses over at Dynamite let him go just long enough to come and chat with us tonight. It's Bueller. What is up, my man?
What's up, all you morose motherfuckers? How you doing?
Bueller.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, and I don't trust Rom V. He is not a very trustworthy guy. I know you do, but anyone with a type of name like Rom V, I mean, that's not even a real name. So he's hiding something right away.
Yeah, for a while, we thought it was Rom the Fifth. We're like, what is this dynasty?
I don't trust that guy at all. So it's good to be here, guys. How's everybody doing?
Good, dude.
Doing well, bro. Doing well.
Good.
Where are you at?
Yeah, where are you at right now?
I'm back in Oregon for a little while. For the time being, and I'll be here for a few weeks, and I'll be taking a train ride to Chicago for C2E2, so I'm looking forward to that.
Dude, a train ride? I've never been on a train. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's actually, I wanted to go on this train ride. It's called the Empire Express train line, and it goes from Portland to Chicago, and I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I have a little window to do it, and it just so happens that C2E2 is the same weekend I was going to plan the trip. So I was like, that's perfect. So it's a 2.5 day train ride to Chicago and 2.5 days back. And it's only like $250 for the round ticket, but it's a really beautiful train ride.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Glacier National Park and everything. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Dude, I have a feeling you're going to discover a dead body within an hour of being there. And then it's just going to be a murder mystery. That would, right? Wouldn't that be? Do they have themed train rides like that? Of course.
Oh yeah. They got porno themed train rides.
Is that what you booked?
Is what you frequent?
It's a little different than a regular train ride, but it's a train ride.
Yeah.
That's great.
Bueller, do you got a favorite comic of March you'd like to talk about, my man?
You know what? I can't stay too long because I do have something. I do have dinner at my dad's here in a few minutes, but I do want to say I have been starting to read some books from the Energon universe, and I've loved Duke. It's probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
I am up to date, or no, I did not get issue 3 of Cobra Commander or 4, whatever the newest one was.
3, yeah.
3. I did not get that one, but I am up to date on Duke, so I got the latest issue of that one. Man, those are great. He is just killing it. Joshua's doing a great job. And I got those. I'm trying to get the G.I. Joe. Apparently, the G.I. Joe is not part of the universe.
Real American Heroes, not, no.
Yeah,
that's connected to the original.
That's the Larry Hama stuff. Yeah, it's still great.
Yeah, so I'm getting those. I picked up almost all the Void Rivals, so I got to read that. And but those are the ones I'm getting into. That, and also I enjoyed the Thundercats from Dynamite because they tell me I have to like that book. So
me too.
That's part of the deal. But really, I can just pretend like I know what I'm talking about for whatever books you want to talk about, and I can hold my own. So whatever you guys want to bring up, like that last one you just talked about, Blade Runner, or
that was it.
Cool. What was it? Was it Cool Runnings or Blade Runner or something like that? That was great.
Yeah, that was it. Cool Borders. Yeah.
Whoa, Blade Runner meets Cool Runnings. That's a book. Like somebody needs to work on that. Right?
Yeah, that was an awesome book. I love how the artwork was in there. It was very dynamic, very energetic. It flowed very well.
Atmospheric, even.
Atmospheric.
If it wasn't Ron V, I might not read issue 2, but I'm gonna go for it. In Ron V we trust. So whatever next book
there we go.
Let's go for it.
Perfect.
Nice.
Nailed it.
Hell yeah.
Nailed it.
All right. Speaking of porn trains, Stu, you host your own show. I think you are competent enough to handle your own discussion about your second pick. Let's go.
Hell yeah. All right. I owe this book to Manny, man. He came on Supreme Clientele a few months back and put me onto this title. And I've been reading it ever since, and I've been loving it. Kaya number 16 is going to be my second one. I love this. I love this story. I love these characters. This world Wes Craig has created. This is reminds me of books like Saga, with just a fantastic cast that you're super invested in, that builds the stakes so well, issue to issue. The art is amazing. The color palette is amazing. It's always vibrant. It always pops. And I just love the choices he made in this story to kind of highlight and spotlight Jin and everything he's struggling with, being the golden one and trying to find his place in this world. I thought it was brilliant, man. This is just I feel like one of the best, most consistent books on the shelf month to month, and it just doesn't get talked about enough for whatever reason. So I wanted to show some love to Wes Craig and Kaya, number 16. I'll send it to Manny. Manny, since I'm hoping you've read this one, since you're the one that put me onto the book.
Mm-hmm. This was another great issue of Kaya. The world is strong. It's compelling. It's consistent. I mean, we're 16 issues in, right? And the book's still it still is what it is. There was no weird twist to fuck it up. There was no crazy devices introduced. The end of the day, still a book about Kaya and her brother going on this grand adventure in a world that is completely consistent in being fantasy. It's not trying to give us some weird parallel to our current life or anything. It is a fun fantasy book. I like that Jin as a character is getting he's getting reckless. He's evolving as a character. He could easily just be the fun sidekick character that, oh golly, oh me. But no, he's taking matters into his own hands, making decisions for good or for bad, that aren't just plot devices to keep a plot moving. They're legitimate. He's legitimately had a character arc, and I dig it. Such a great book.
Hell yeah, brother. Chris, how about you? You reading this one, man?
So no. But what I will say is that because of Robbie, Nick, and this community right here, I hadn't been reading this comic for quite some time. And on my last live show on our channel, I actually got the trades, and I was attributing that to this panel here. And I have the trades. I am behind, but I'm in it for. I'm gonna get caught up here soon. But I did not read this one, but I'm ready to rock soon.
Fair enough. Bueller, how about you, brother? You keeping up to date on Kaya?
Oh yeah, I'm all over this book, and let me just tell you guys a little bit about Kaya itself, because you know what, not a lot of independent books get a 15, 16, 17 issue run, and this one is doing that, and it has more issues to come, and it's really evolved the family dynamic between the characters in the book. And with this many issues, you get to see that dynamic in this fantastic universe. So I've really enjoyed this from the very first issue to the latest issue. And number 17 is out next week. So be on the lookout for Kaya. If you're in the books that explore relationships of family members in a fantastic world, this is the book.
Hell yeah. That's why he's the legend right there.
Man, master.
On to you, Mr. Rockin Robbie. You got
any thoughts on Kaya? This motherfucker down here has proven something. He hasn't read a single issue of this shit yet. But let me tell you something. This dude is you're great. Bueller, you're great. You're great. And I also, Chris, I love you. Thank you so much. Because Stu said, I wouldn't even know about this book without Manny. Me, Nick, We got shows every week. We've been talking about this fucking book. We got a show every month. You ever heard of the monthly comic book review show, Stu? That's the show you're on right now.
Need more? Do you need more compliments? Is that what you need? Michael fucking Allred was in your comments, man. You're all right.
No, I love the book. I do think it's one of the most underappreciated books right now, and Bueller's got a really great point. Not a lot of books at Marvel go this distance. You know what I'm saying? And so Wes doing this on his own, and that art is so goddamn clean. Mm-hmm. And I think it reads as not all ages, but definitely it could be young adult. So it's definitely got a wide range of an audience that I think it's just primed for a book like this. I think I'm not saying it's this yet, but it has the makings of what could be this generation's Bone.
Oh yeah, wow, quite a statement. Nick, how about you, bro? You keeping up to date with Kaya?
I'm really disappointed because two of you now have mentioned that I was a big influence on the fact that you bought this book or you're reading this book, and I haven't read this book, so I don't. And one of you said, "Oh, that's why that's why I watch his videos," and he says he reads it. I don't read it. I don't. It's on the backlog for sure. I read issue number 1. It didn't vibe with me. I think we've covered this book pretty much every single issue that it's come out. And I read issue number 1, didn't vibe, but then you guys started talking about it, and I'm like, it's too far in to get caught up at this point. But I might need to pick up the trade. I might need to do what Chris is doing.
It goes quick, man. When I did my catch up read for the show, it moves along quickly. It's a quick read.
Yeah,
I thought because we talked about it so much at the nomination show, I could have sworn that it was the two of you that were like really.
I guess it was just me,
but it was just Robbie. I mean, it felt like two people coming at me, but maybe it was
in spirit.
And then Brian would be here and me and Brian and Manny here each month, like we were talking about it. So
yeah, true.
So one thing we've learned is that none of us pay attention to anybody else except for Bueller.
I know my feelings are genuinely hurt because I've got like 12 individual videos about Kaya on my channel, like 12 actual fucking videos. Nick talks about
editing and graphics and music.
Shit.
I put you on the Kaya.
Yep. In actuality, none of us have read it.
No. Did you not hear how general I was? He has a character arc. Like no shit. It's a story. No, it is a really good read though. I read it with my 8-year-old and we both love it. So
that's awesome, great, dude.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, good job, Stu. Good job there.
Thanks.
That was great. You led us into a little bit of controversy. Speaking of controversy, Manny is controversial, and the fact that he likes
was clean. It was clean until now.
I don't know. I was trying to make a fruit thing, like apples to oranges. It doesn't make any sense. See, this is terrible. Manny, why don't you just take your pick and run with it? Guide this segment, please.
Oh man. All right. Well, I guess. Gosh, it's a weird time of the year. We're like in the middle of a bunch of arcs. Like there's not like a lot of like really strong out the gate things. Farrell was a pretty good pick. That could easily be it, but I'm gonna go with the book I've spent the most time with this month, and that was Green Lantern War Journal number 7. Because it does feel like we're moving into new territory. It handled the transition very well. I thought the last issue had some clunkiness with what they did with Lantern Shepherd, but I feel like this story is just continuing to build, continuing to add to the mythos. The reveal of the fire spirit that Superman had to get in the War World shit. What was his name? Ogre or something. Ogun. Yeah. Like. It's just building and building and building, and it's refreshing to, as much as like I'm super intrigued every time Robbie talks about DC and like the Amanda Waller stuff that's coming. I digging this kind of side story that it's connected but not really connected. I thought it was way more connected to the regular Green Lantern run until you read this month's Green Lantern. You're like, oh no, that has nothing to do with anything. There's just another battery on Earth, and so it didn't have anything to do with. So why the hell did John have to make a fucking ring from the Shadow Revenant? There's a fucking battery. Anyway, my point is, Green Lantern War Journal has been a very, very consistent book in this. I love this idea of the fighter and the builder. It speaks to the spirit of the character of Jon Stewart. I love the idea of that he's so pulled in to this battle and he just wants to get home. And that sense of duty, that sense of having to soldier on in the most literal fucking sense in this book, that is his heart is still, I just want to get home to my family. And that is that theme, that idea of surrendering yourself to something bigger than you are, but not surrendering your humanity and your individuality. I love the fact that he didn't need a ring until he got infected by the Radiant Dead for whatever reason, because they wanted to give him a ring because they brought steel in and forging looks cool. But I love that he didn't need a ring. I love that he had transcended the call of the core, even though at his core, he's still always going to do what's right. He's still going to do what the Guardians of Oa, what their mission statement is, regardless of whether or not there are orders coming down. I don't know. I dig it. I like this book a lot. And yeah, so Green Lantern War Journal issue number 7 is my pick. It's the first book that came to mind. I should have picked Fish Flies. But Chris, did you take this journey into the Dark Star of Fen? Did you follow this? Did you go straight on until morning?
I am following this all the way into this cosmic battle. I love the fact that Jeremy Adams is doing this wonderful personal Hal Jordan story over on the Green Lantern title there. But PKJ, man, Philip Kennedy Johnson, he's putting Jon Stewart, front and center of this cosmic. It's more of a cosmic book, but still has that human touch, right? So, but there's this subplot that's kind of going on in the background with the Ellie, which is his sister, right, who's gone from being this construct, kind of designed to bring his mother comfort, to a thinking, independent construct that is watching over it while she's gone. But she's kind of portraying some disturbing behavior. I'm really for some reason, I'm really drawn to that part of the story. But there's a lot, it's a lot of fun. And I got to be honest, prior to Jeremy Adams and Philip Kennedy Johnson taking these titles, I have never really been a Green Lantern fan. I've said this so many times. I've tried to get into these books. I've tried to get into these epic, cosmic titles, and I just never have any interest in them. But what these guys are doing, they are adding that personal touch. Both Jeremy and Philip Kennedy Johnson, and yeah, I'm really, really digging this book a lot. Yeah,
dude. If it weren't for Steph, the fucking MVP Renaissance man of the PCP Army Bad Batch, the guy who can do all things, I would have never jumped on Green Lantern. And that guy's got me freaking hooked. If you ever ask for a recommendation, you ask Steph the Missing Link, because that guy is the comic book whisperer.
He's the Henry Cavill of the PCP Army.
Oh, God, he's so gorgeous, too. Oh, my gosh. That said,
speaking of gorgeous,
another gorgeous man. Another beautiful specimen of humanity. Greg could not be here tonight, but we do have Bueller. Bueller, did you read Green Lantern War Journal?
I am so happy you brought this book up, because War Journal number 7 is one of my favorite books of all time. Number 6 was the beginning story arc of Wolverine versus Punisher, and that's why I like it so much. So this is the second part. So 6 and 7, you guys got to get 6 and 7. It's the Wolverine versus the Punisher, and by Jim Lee. And if you've missed out on this War Journal classic, you're missing out on 2 of the best books ever. Because in the first issue, 6, Wolverine and Punisher kind of fight each other. And then in issue 7, with the book we're talking about, it's more they kind of come together and they fight the bad guy. So it's one of my favorite books. I appreciate you bringing it up. And, it just doesn't get talked about a lot, and it's undervalued. So if guys are looking for this book, buy it, because it's worth every penny. It's one of the classics. As far as Green Lantern goes, you can kiss my ass. I could care less, to be honest. But Jon Stewart, you can see Jon Stewart on Monday nights on the Daily Show now, so we got that going. So that's pretty cool. Yep. But anyway, guys, I don't mean to cut this short, but I actually do need to go. I got my stepmom that made dinner tonight, so I'm gonna dip out. So
love you, Bueller.
Bueller.
Thank you.
Great, guys.
Thanks, man.
See you, man.
Take care, man.
Gosh, it's every time I get a chance to hang out with Bueller, I wish it was Bullseye Bob, but in this case, we did get a taste of Bueller. Speaking of getting a taste of Bueller, let's talk to a guy who has gotten a taste of everybody on this panel. Robbie, what are you digging on with Jon Stewart, Green Lantern War Journal issue?
First of all, I want to echo what Bueller said about Punisher War Journal number 6 and 7. Those are really good. There's Carl Potts as well, but Jim Lee artwork, not quite there yet, but getting there. There's an issue of Punisher War Journal that has Klaus Janson inking on Jim Lee. That's the issue I would tell people to check out, because if Klaus inks it, I'm checking it out 100%. There's there's a Batman book I found from like the early 80s that he inked Gene Colan on. And so I was like, dude, I got to get a hold of this. I'll send you the issue number, Nick, because it's okay. It's like early Daredevil level, Klaus Janson inking. Yeah. But it was pretty cool. I can't wait to dive into it. And it's a self-contained story. Green Lantern War Journal needs to have a different name. It should just be called Green Lantern Jon Stewart. If there's a Hal Jordan Green Lantern, let there be a Jon Stewart Green Lantern. It makes sense to me. It makes more sense to me with Green Lantern than it does Captain America to have like two different named books like that, right? Yeah. I fucking love this book. I thought the book was okay when it first started. I thought it would be one of those books that I would get into and kind of quickly dive out of after a few issues. It keeps getting better and better, in my opinion. Just like Transformers, this is a meditation on war and its effects on people, right? Yeah, I love what you were talking about, but what the core represents, but the core of John represents something beyond that. So it's not just about the effects of war on somebody, but the effects of war on somebody who truly is a hero, like an Optimus Prime. Like a Sparky Sparkplug Jones, or whatever the fuck his last name. Witwicky, that's his last name. What the fuck does that? Witwicky? Anyway, I really love it. It's on my list, and I don't think I usually put this on my list for my best comics of the month, but it is because, first of all, the artwork is great, and he's exploring larger mythology in the DC universe by playing with the Dark Star and the Star Hearts and all, then Alan Scott, they're playing with the Star Hearts, and there's this like slight connection between those two, it feels like. And the character of John has been done so bad in the past by so many people, right? And this is perfect for me. The shit with his mom is tugging at my heart. Him feeling like he's away, but he's got this responsibility. The artwork, this is the best era Green Lantern's been in since Jeff Johns. Now, I'm not saying it's at that level yet, but this is the best era since then. And during that Jeff Johns era, the Jon Stewart work was done by Peter J. Tomasi in the GL Core book. This is a better exploration on Jon Stewart than that book was, which had to deal with a whole lot more. But also, every writer who's come in after Jeff Johns plays with the Green Lantern lore and mythology, but they just kind of play with it directed by where they think the story will go from Jeff Johns. Johnson is doing something that's separate from what Jeff Johns set up, but equally compelling to me as far as like enriching the world and the mythology of the Green Lantern. So I'm really, really digging the book.
Do I pass it on?
Yeah. Well, we're not done. You still got.
Yeah. Do you want to know what I think, or you just want to like fucking?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Nick. I watch your videos. I know what you think, because Nick at Night is an amazing comic book review show that if you're not checking it out, people should be checking it out. It's such a really good show.
Keep going, Manny.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that being said,
yep.
We don't need to hear from Nick because he's got a weekly comic book review show.
Nope. Nights.
No, Nick, what did you think about this?
I don't know. I didn't read it.
You didn't read it?
No, I'm 0 for 2 on the second round. I don't know, man. I just didn't do it.
Because I watch your show. You've read some
I
You've
haven't
read
read
some
this.
horrendous shit.
Why didn't you read this? There are some bad things. No, I think it's like what Chris mentioned before. It's like I never really got into the space level like DC stuff, the real like out there. I've always been more street level kind of stuff. And then as I started reading comics, I never really like Green Lantern never really connected with me. I never clicked. I thought it was kind of corny. You know what I mean? I just need that. You know what I need? I need that Dark Knight Green Lantern book. And that sounds like this is what we'll be getting right here. So I might need to check it out. It's still early enough to where I can get in and catch up pretty quickly, I think. So it might be something I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you should.
There you go.
Should I hold my hand up or?
I'm sorry.
It's all good, brother.
I'm watching kids moving around here, and I'm not being good at this. But speaking of
not being good at this,
other,
Stu, what do you think?
Other guys, you should, fucking ace.
Of course. I love this one, man. I think what you guys said about there being two great Green Lantern books is dead on right now. I wish that Jeremy Adams had never gotten taken off Flash, but regardless, he's killing that Hal Jordan book. This has been amazing. I love Montos's artwork throughout this. That's been the star of the show for me. This, like the beginning of this issue where he was kind of lost in that dark cavern, and just the way that some of those pages were done was fantastic. And also, like when we get the Revenant dead showing up and the whatever that star, the big bad at the end showing up. I just love that brilliant scene and everything going on in the in that little world or whatever. I love Kennedy Johnson's voice for John. I think it's very authentic, him being a veteran himself. And I love how he brings PTSD and all those things that John would have experienced, saving the universe multiple times over and just trying to reintegrate back into everyday life, be there for his mom. I just think like his voice and his journey for this character has been so authentic and dead on. I think he's a perfect person to write him. It's been one of my favorite DC books, and I hope the artwork, the same creative team continues because it's just been fabulous. I can't wait to see where we go from here. But yeah, great one.
Yeah, it's been a great book. It hasn't really misstepped too much. I do think that Lantern Shepherd should have just stayed dead, or at least we should have gotten this Earth version of him. But it's all good. It's all good. Otherwise, it's been a great book. All right.
I'll pull it back from you, man.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. You're good. He was doing so well until Bueller left. That was your power. That was like...
It was.
You're like Bizarro and Bueller's Kryptonite, and it like made you better. And
or magic, apparently.
Yeah, right. Speaking of magic, Chris,
there you go.
You host one of the best comic book shows on YouTube.
Oh man,
out there. I love you, Chris. You're such a cool dude. You're going to HeroesCon, right?
Absolutely, man.
Dude, Tom Scioli's going to be there. We get to all talk shit about Stan Lee with him. Very excited. Man. Very excited. I hope he's at the bar. I don't think Tom Scioli's a bar dude. I feel like he'll be up in the hotel room watching Welcome Back, Kotter instead, getting ready for the next Total Recall show. Why don't you lead the discussion on your second round pick?
Who are we going to get to the bar at HeroesCon? I'm already focused on that. Rodney Barnes is going to be there. I'm like, can we get Rodney to the bar?
Dude, I bet he's so much fun at the bar.
I bet you he is.
Be telling stories. He'll be like, tell us about like all this shit, dude.
Yeah.
That dude's got a career, bro.
For certain. Man,
I had him on the channel. I had 30 minutes, man. And I was like, that's not enough time, man. Yeah. We spent half of it talking about Alice fucking Cooper. God damn it.
It is no ball thing. And it's a fantastic book, man. It's a book that he should not have done as well as it came out. Like, I had so much fun with that book.
Yeah,
man.
Me too, man. I really did.
Speaking of books that are extremely fun, you guys just laid this right up for me. Feral, issue number 1, Image Comics, right? We've got is it Fleeks, Tony Fleeks, or is it Fleece?
Fleece, like a fleece jacket.
Fleece. It's an S at the end, right?
It is. That's the right, part.
So Tony Fleece, right?
Well, he's never corrected me. At least.
Right. Art, Tris Forstner, Tone Rodriguez. I hope I'm saying that right. Brad Simpson on colors. This is. I feel like we're really in a golden age of these animal centric comics. Like, I feel like we're getting so many of them, and each one of them is so well done. We haven't talked about Man's Best. That was another fantastic comic, right? We've had, of course, the Tom King Animal Pound. We've had, what's the other one? Ablaze. I can't remember the name of the title. We've just had so many of these great animal-centric books. And this one, playing
Animal
on the
Castle?
same... Animal Castle. Animal Castle. Fantastic, horrible lettering. You have to really put that thing up to your face, but fantastic comic. Each one of these books has resonated with me. And maybe in the past, I wouldn't have thought that these type of books would have this kind of impact on me, but they do. And this book, Feral, it's very familiar. It's got that familiar feel of Stray Dogs, which was an absolute wonderful book. But this time we are focusing on cats rather than dogs. And I think one of the beauty of this book, one of the things that it does so well is very quickly, I mean, right from the beginning, there's a very evident bond between these characters. There's this deep bond between these three cats. Obviously, one is very concerned about the one cat that they can't see. She keeps trying to call out for this cat. You know, the name's slipping my mind right now, but where's this cat? Where, like, they're trying to look.
Lord.
Yeah,
Where's Lord?
Fluffy
Where's Lord?
Buds or something.
There's a very religious theme subtext in this. Where's the Lord?
Where's the Lord at?
He's abandoned us.
Abandoned
Got a few more days. Just wait.
So obviously these cats care for each other, right? And very quickly in one issue, you tap into that relationship. We were talking about Dawn Runner earlier, not having that feel of like, capture me, make me feel invested. I feel invested in these cat characters right away. And this puts you right into the story. They are being hauled off for reasons unknown, or kind of reasons known. There's some type of a virus going around, rabies, it looks like, and they are being taken off into this Animal Pound truck. The Animal Pound truck collapses over a steep hill, and these cats get released into the wild. But again, I think the key here is those relationships right away. And then there's confusion with the cats as to, why is their owner not there? And then one of them is very hopeful that, no, let's just stay here. The owners will be back. And then the other one's just wild. Lord is wild. It comes over there and is just all over the place. But you see very definitive characteristics in these cats, and they're very human characteristics. So right away, different types of people can relate to the different types of cats. So right away, that brings you in, that draws you in. Very, very good opening issue. Books that use animals to pull at your heartstrings when done well. I say this all the time. They just have such a lasting impact with you. And I think this creative team, they have it down. They know the formula. If you love Stray Dogs, you're obviously going to love Feral. And I know a lot of people that did not get on the Stray Dogs, wagon until it was too late, when all those covers were erupting and the price of the first issue had gone up. I urge people, if you never did that, man, jump into this. It's so good, and don't let the Disney-like quality of the art scare you away. I'm normally not a fan of that type of art. And I know we're not supposed to say anything derogatory toward Dynamite, and this is not about Dynamite, the Disney book.
That's not a rule. Don't say that shit on air.
The Dynamite, the Disney books, man. I'm normally not drawn to these stories, man. Like, they're, I could care less about them, honestly, most of the time. But, I mean, this looks like a Disney comic. I mean, look at that. And it looks like a Disney comic, but do not let that scare you away if that's not your style, is what I'm trying to get at. But I really like this a lot, man. So, Robbie, I know you read this. I watched your video. Can you tell us all?
Blind when you're born? Can you see in the dark? Can you look at a king? Would you sit on his throne? I just watched the 2019 Cats last night, which makes me like cats a little bit less, to be honest. What a weird fucking experience. It was a fever dream of ridiculousness and poor choices, and like, who the fuck? And the craziest thing about Cats 2019 is everybody that made that movie, I swear they thought it was going to be an Academy Award winning movie.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. They really thought that. That being said, I still love Cats.
Yeah. Well, when you
like,
take a musical that is just a bunch of scenes of music and then like decide to loosely thread it with a plot and like cut away from those songs, like we give a shit.
Right.
About
and I'm not trying to get too far into it because Monday night's going to be its full jam. Right. But part of the allure of Cats on stage is the movements of the human actors, the dancing, the ballet nature of it, the athleticism of it. You lose all of that when it's just a bunch of fucking Uncanny Valley. This is Uncanny Valley, the movie, bruh. This is what this is. Why are their ears moving so goddamn much? Cats' ears don't move that fucking much. Anyway, we're moving on. I loved Feral. I thought Feral was better than Stray Dogs. Now, Stray Dogs #1, I think, was a better, solid issue as far as the story goes. But Stray Dogs was a 5-issue series. Feral is an ongoing series. I have been graced. Tony, let me read the first 3 issues. Reading the first 3 issues, I was sold from the get-go. It is going to take a moment to really hook some people in, but man, it's good. And the artwork, bruh, you say Disney, and I get it, right? And the art is superior to the Dynamite Disney books. Aside from, well, superior to, but on the same level, I think is, was it Sue Lee, Maleficent? I love her art on that book. Yeah. Like, the Maleficent book looks gorgeous. The rest of them look like what they're supposed to, right? This, though, the way you get people into it is to pull away from the Disney. And when I reference Disney with the look of this book, I specifically mentioned 70s Disney. Jungle Book, the Aristocats, Robin Hood, that era of Disney, which a lot of people say is their weakest era. They did kind of mimic and copy a lot of shit they had done previously. But man, there's something about 70s Disney that I love. But what really hits people, because even though people are like, Disney, they love some fucking Don Bluth. This is Don fucking Bluth. And what I love about this one is the different approach they've taken to this story and why they're going to be able to keep this pace and go ongoing with it. Tony is super excited. We've had him on very much, like twice within the last half year. Tone Rodriguez and Stray Dogs did the layouts, and Trish, basically finished those layouts. This time, Trish is drawing all of the animals. Tone is doing all of the backgrounds. And Brad Simpson's doing more elaborate coloring, intentionally trying to mimic the style of highly textured and detailed and elaborate backgrounds with a flat color on the foreground. It looks like a Don Bluth movie. It looks like screenshots of something, like super crisp UHD screenshots from a Don Bluth movie remastered, right? That's what it looks like. The art is levels above where Stray Dogs was. The story, trust me, I've read 3 issues. It gets there. It really does. And it's a zombie tale. And it's got some of the best covers out there. I feel so bad that I wasn't able to get a hold of the Night of the Living Dead cover. I got the day, I got the dawn. Tony, please hook me up with the Night of the Living Dead cover. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll have you on the channel every month, man, whatever you say. Now, Tony's a super cool dude. He understands horror. I've had many conversations with him just about horror, and he understands it. He's having fun with it. He is creatively rejuvenated right now between Feral and Local Man and the upcoming Uncanny Valley, which is not an adaptation of the 2019 Cats musical movie. It's a really great book. If anybody's not gotten a peek at that yet, trust me, Uncanny Valley is going to be on a lot of... that's a book we're talking about next month, 100%. But Feral blew me away. I really liked it. But once again, I kind of cheated. I got to read the first 3 issues at once. But I loved it. And the art in particular, that's a level up for me. Those colors... I think Brad Simpson, look at his work on Coffin Bound. He's already one of the greatest colorists right now in the modern age. And one of the most underappreciated colorists. This is a next step for him. It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. Yeah. That double page spread, that first double page spread.
The title page?
At the colors in the back.
I was just looking at that.
Page. Yeah. Jeez.
Insane.
It's gorgeous, man.
Speaking of...
I like it.
Yeah. 100%. Speaking of creators that are underappreciated, Nick.
But you're going to say gorgeous. Damn.
That too. What did you think of Feral issue #1, man?
I thought from an art perspective, it was great. It was really, really good. And for all the reasons we just brought up, the background contrast with the foregrounds, the flat colors mixing with the highly detailed, amazing coloring, everything, that was great. I will say that my only issue with the book, it was the execution of the story. It wasn't the message of the story or where the story is going to go or the summary of what's happening. There's a couple points in this book where I don't know how they got in the back of that car, that truck. They didn't talk about that. I don't know what the ghost cat was. I don't know, there's moments where it felt a little sloppiness on the detailed story part. I like the journey of the characters. I like the horrific feel. Definitely staying around to see where this book goes because I know this team can deliver. Huge fan of Stray Dogs. I liked Stray Dogs issue 1 more because we got to connect with a single character and we got to see them play in this new weird world of horror and all that mystery and like some shock and surprise that we got. We're gonna get there in this book. I think, Robbie, you were saying that it's going to take a couple issues for some people. I think I'm one of those people. It's going to take me a few issues to really get hooked on the story, but like the execution of like the art and where I think the story is going to go, totally on board. There's a couple moments in this issue where I was like, why is he calling that damn cat's name so many times? The cat goes missing. He always comes back. They have a flashback. And they're like, not always. It's like, well, okay, did he ever come back and you're still looking for him? Like, was he ever in the truck? Like, I think he was, right? Based on some dialogue. So like, there's moments where I felt like the dialogue from animal to animal felt a little bit choppy. Couple questions here and there. Totally on board though for where this series is going to go. But yeah, I'm optimistic and excited to see where it goes. But I had issues with this particular issue.
Stu, did you read the comic? Did you have issues with it? What was your enjoyment level?
I did. I didn't have issues per se, but I will say I didn't enjoy it as much as Stray Dogs. But Stray Dogs is one of those books that I just really came out of left field, and I wouldn't have got caught onto it early if it hadn't been for my LCS and my homeboy's recommendation. So like that book has I just love that book. I thought it was so out of left field and just so fantastic. Yeah. Much like Beneath the Trees, like just the way they marry that childhood aesthetic with the horror vibes and bigger things to say. I like this enough. I liked, like you said, Chris, like we're already starting to get invested in these relationships and these characters. I like that. I think what Nick says has some validity, though. It definitely could have been a little bit more fleshed out to me. I don't know. It just kind of like we're in the back of the truck and everything. Who is who and what is what? That part was a little jarring to me, but I love the dialogue between the animals, like you guys were saying. I love that when they see the human with the radio up in the tree, one of them says shit. I just like how they humanize these animals in that way. It's fantastic. But yeah, good cliffhanger at the end. Enough, definitely. The team behind Stray Dogs is really all you had to say, and definitely around for issue 2 and the rest of them on.
Yep. I think there are definitely a lot of question marks. When I'm looking at the first page where it says this was perfect, this was every day, right? And then immediately right after this page, you go into them being in the back of this truck, right? So something big has changed, right? And I think there are a lot of intentional breadcrumbs left for us. And Robbie's the only one that knows. He's read the next few issues, but I feel like it's just enough to make us want to know what are the answers to those questions. And I think we're supposed to feel invested in the characters enough to go and get those questions answered about the whole story. Manny, did you read this comic? What were your thoughts?
It could have easily been on the list. I thought it was really well executed, artistically great. I will say, to echo what Nick and Stu were saying, that there is something. A few years ago, there was a game that came out called Heavy Rain. And it was a great game by the end. But at the early part of the game, this father loses his son, and all you hear him say is, Jason, Jason. And when you talk about this game now, that's what a lot of people remember. They just go, Jason, Jason. I feel like the Lord thing was a little overdone, but I think Tony gave us some really cool breadcrumbs. They don't tell us why they're in the back of the car, but the back of the truck, that doesn't bother me so much, only because like I don't know. There's a lot of horror movies where we're dropped into the world and we don't like totally know what's going on. But he does leave some breadcrumbs. He says when they came to take us, the girl didn't stop them. Right. So like there's obviously some backstory we're going to get to. Lord Fluffy Butt or whatever the hell his name is, Fluffy Bottom. I really didn't. I didn't.
Soggy Bottom.
Yeah, what Soggy Bottom boy cat. I'm with Nick. I don't really give a shit when he shows up. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't do enough setup there. Like obviously Elsie like cares about this cat and wants to find him, but why? We like they still never totally got there. I think it's good. I think that if all it's going to be, though, is Walking Dead with cats, I don't think it's going to have legs, though. So I do want to see something different than just cute in a way that, you know, where it's just cute to be cute, and then we're just it's like who that writer that Robbie's always talking about, where he's like, Mark Millar, like, we're gonna do this with superheroes. I don't want this to just be a zombie comic with cute animals. So I do want to see it progress, but there was enough breadcrumbs there. The artwork is amazing, and I think that there's plenty there to keep you interested. I do think it was a really well executed book, aside from those couple of hiccups. So I know I sound like I'm shitting on it. That's just because I retreat to shitting on books when I can't think of what to say. So I should just stop rambling and pass it back to you, Chris.
Wonderful discussion on Feral 1. Go check it out. I think it's a wonderful comic. I know it was Robbie's pick of the week this week. Is that accurate? Yeah, yep. That was so fantastic comic. Good, wonderful analysis there. Robbie, I will pass things back to you.
I will say that they do get to how they got picked up, what the incidences are that lead to that. Like that comes up. Like this is a book that probably should have been double sized for a first issue to be able to give you a little bit more meat to keep it going.
Yeah,
for certain.
For me, for my third book, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Who was that? Was that you?
No, definitely wasn't me.
Oh, was that Chris's air conditioner?
Shoot.
Trying to butt in? No, you're fine, brother. I would rather you be cool and collected than sweaty and swampy. And
how bad is it?
Texas. No, you're fine.
I mean, I thought it went with the theme of the feral cats.
It's in the
back. It's like a high-pitched, uneasy.
Here's the one thing. I know, who was it? Somebody said like it was overdone with the whole Lord thing. All right, imagine in human ears, those are meows.
Yeah.
If cats came out of a fucking like wrecked car like that, they'd be like meow, meow, meow. They would be non-fucking stop, and us would be like, what the fuck are they doing? It's annoying. Anyway, I love the book. I think it's great. It got the triple crown. It went for the hat trick. It got cover of the week, pick of the week, and smell of the week, y'all. So anyway, and I swear, if Tony does not put a picture of my cat in a future issue, all the Image books smelled like that, by the way. They were really good smelling this week. If Tony doesn't put an like my cat in one of the upcoming issues, I'll change my opinion. All right. For me, my next pick, I want to go with, fuck it. Let's go with the Energon again. Cobra Commander number 3.
Yeah.
And the reason why is this. There's a lot of Cobra Law lore being played with here. Josh Williamson knows that most Joe fans don't like Cobra Law. They don't like that aspect of the mythology, right? Of the mythos. Josh does. And Josh has the balls to play with it. But Josh realizes what he has to do to make it work. In order to make it work, he's got to correct the character of Cobra Commander. Skeletor is badass, right? Visually. At least we know he's visually badass. But he's kind of a coward, right? Right? There are other villains, though, that look badass, that are actually threatening and scary, like Monstar in Silverhawks, or Mumra in Thundercats, right? We're talking about these 80s properties. Cobra Commander, I always thought looked okay, right? But was really weak as a character. And I mean that, like, as far as development on the character, but also in just not a menacing... You're telling me this is the dude that runs all of Cobra and he's the biggest coward out of everybody that's a part of that organization? Josh Williamson corrected that. This dude is being tortured by the Dreadnoks. If this happened in the 80s animated series, Cobra Commander would like buckle and be crying and begging for release. But instead, he's manipulating the psychotic Dreadnoks into fucking everything up for themselves. Somebody mentioned dialogue in this issue felt Tarantino-esque. I wouldn't say that. There weren't enough F-bombs or N-words, apparently, but there was definitely a syncopation, right, to this flow, like to the dialogue, to the flow, like the way he's getting in them. If it is Tarantino-esque, it's like Christoph Waltz's character from Inglourious Bastards-esque, right? Like Cobra Commander is manipulative. He is threatening. He is menacing. He is not a little bitch. He is not a coward. He is truly threatening, and I am here for it. And it makes the Cobra Law stuff, that pill, easier to swallow because he has improved the character of Cobra Commander. Bueller mentioned Duke. I love Duke as well. And at first, I thought Duke #1 was way better than Cobra Commander #1. But Cobra has really kept my attention even more than Duke right now because it is a horror book. And that's what Josh said on the retailer call. He's like, this is a horror book. And so we chose an artist that was appropriate for that. The art is visceral. The art is edgy. The art is gnarly. It is splattery. All the Energon books, I tell people, I know it's Image, but put it on the mainstream shelf. Cobra Commander's the one where I'm like, I don't know. Luckily, Deadpool and Punisher, nothing worse than that or what's going on in Wolverine right now. But it is violent. It is visceral. It is making Cobra Commander a very truly threatening menace. He's doing the Lord's work. I love it. What do you think of Cobra Commander, Nick?
This is my favorite issue of just the 3 issues we've gotten so far. And it's because of that, like, Reservoir Dogs interrogation type style scene. Maybe that's the Tarantino kind of thing right there. Cop, the whole cop in the ear thing, right? So Cobra Commander sitting in that chair, getting a blowtorch to the face, blowtorch to the arm, using his blood, the Dreadnought's using his blood to paint that smiley face that stays on his fucking mask the entire issue, and it's creepy as hell. He's going through the worst possible physical pain you can go through, and at the same time, he is not flinching, he's not responding to them, and he has enough wherewithal to manipulate every single one of the people that comes in this room. So it's it's like a bare knuckle brawl towards the end of this book. I just love how calm, cold, and collective he is throughout this whole thing. The art's the best part about this whole thing, though. I love there's a certain panel in here where after he's got the little smiley face, and like the next round of people come in, and he's got that slight head tilt. And it just works, man. It was creepy, and I just loved everything about it. And this quickly shot up to like Cobra Commander. The first 2 issues were great. They were fine, but like it was always kind of on the back burner. But like after reading this issue here, I'm in love with it now. I cannot wait to read the next one.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Speaking of on the back burner at first, but now here on the forefront, Stu, just shitting over everything. What do you think of Cobra Commander?
Yeah, man, I love this one. I'm with both of you guys. This is another, like Transformers, like another IP that I'm not super familiar with, but I'm getting more and more, invested in with each issue. I thought, like Nick said, dude, the blowtorch to the face was crazy. I loved how we got those panels of like his view of looking out, and it had that little crack in the mask. That was so cool. It took a chainsaw. Didn't he take a chainsaw to the chest at one point? Like,
yeah, dude dries it.
He was. Yeah, dude was holding on in there. What Nick said about the blood on the mask was so well done. I mean, you guys, and I thought like the Reservoir Dogs, like the back and forth, him like manipulating everybody, and he's like, I love when the girl comes in, he's like, aren't you worried about losing control of your people? And then like those 2 idiots come barging, busting in the door and fighting stuff. I just love how he unraveled everything. And then the ending was super gnarly when, dude like transformed or whatever. Like
he's revealed as the whatever nemesis. I'm not super familiar.
Yeah,
with
neither am I.
But yeah,
dude, he looked incredible. Like that was some great art. And yeah, totally wasn't expecting that. This is like another one of those books that I definitely would have never checked for if it wasn't for me loving and enjoying all the other parts of the Energon universe. But this has been a pleasant surprise, man. I hope it stays on the strong short track it's on, like we were saying before about other books. I hope it doesn't go on too long. But yeah, this has been great. This has been and like you guys said, such a menacing, like edgy, like great depiction of the character that's not your Saturday morning kids cartoon. Like I love that.
I loved it. When we were on that retailer call, Josh says, I want you to understand in a way that the show or even the Hama comic never did, why all of these badasses follow this dude. Because they all hate him. Nobody likes Cobra Commander. Like Destro, the Dreadnoks, Major Blood, all these people. None of them like Cobra Commander. But why? He said it always bothered him. Why do they follow this sniveling, just weaselly guy? He said, I want to show you why they follow him. Right? And that's what they're doing. And if you know these characters, the Dreadnoks, he's playing them so freaking well. And you can just imagine, "Oi, what do you say about me, mate? You crazy." Speaking of crazy fake Australian accents, Manny, what do you got? What do you think of Cobra?
Crikey, this book right here, mate, led me on a journey where I was just sitting there at my LCS, minding my own business. When I saw this book over in the distance, I thought, I'm going to poke it with a stick. So I went and poked it with the stick, and it was good. It's again just a really strong issue of Cobra Commander. I personally like this one a little bit more than Duke, although Duke is turning into a really good book too. This is a super strong entry into it. I don't have any connection to G.I. Joe, just like I don't have any connection really to Transformers, so it's all new to me. What I love about this book, and Void Rivals does the same, it leads me to research into who people are, right? Like when that dude rips his skin off, I'm like, it does a good job of letting us know these people are important. Like the Dreadnoughts. I know who the Dreadnoks were. And then they're in the book. And I'm like, oh, then I have to research. And it's just cool that a book that, for all intents and purposes, isn't like a Manny's Different Perspectives book, right? There's not like a bunch of weird fucking stretch theming that I'm pulling out of these, right? It's just big, dumb, gigantic, moronic splendor, right? And I want to dig deeper into it. Like, I don't even do that for like deep ass books. You know what I mean? Like, how interesting is that of speaking to me as someone who states boldly over and over and over again, my objectives as a reader is to be as pretentious as humanly fucking possible. No, my objectives as a reader is theme and emotion and feeling. And I'm a fucking kid reading the box of an action figure, looking at these characters, looking at those little tiny pictures and getting excited for that. That's a really cool feeling. And this book does that. So it's been so good. So good.
Absolutely, man. They're just making this character way better than he's ever been before. And it is big, horrific splendor, I would say. Like, it really is scratching that itch, right? And I'm glad, I think it was Stu that mentioned the Reservoir Dogs bit, right? Like, yeah, that's
no, that was Nick.
That's definitely prevalent, dude. Yeah, dude, yeah. I love it, dude. Taking this Cobra Commander's badass. So badass. Speaking of badass, Greg couldn't be here with us tonight, so I'm stealing Manny's joke. But Chris is here. So, Chris, why don't you tell us, what do you think about Cobra Commander?
I liked it a lot. You guys have said pretty much everything about it, but what I will say is we've talked a lot about this Energon universe, and what I think yet another thing that it's done so well is to create these pockets for different genres and different fandoms. We're all absorbing it all, but if you are wanting a little bit of that flavor of horror, there's this for you, right? This is totally different than Duke, totally different than Void Rivals, totally different than Transformers.
They all are different, right? They all have a very distinct tone, man, and I love that.
And I love that. I love the diversity of what is happening with this universe. And if you dive all the way in, like sounds like all of us are, you get different levels of enjoyment with all these different things, different itches being scratched, right? And yeah, I love this whole issue. And I'm a big fan of not him being tortured, but you see the torture going on and his resilience to that. And even in that torture that he never breaks, and he in fact just begins to manipulate those that are his captors yeah, this is great. I mean, it continues to just reveal this side of Cobra Commander that I never even knew existed. So, and with my casual relationship with all these properties, so yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Fantastic stuff,
man. What a great show. Some great picks, some great discussion, and I didn't even have to talk about how much Wonder Woman this month really pissed me off. I thought that was the most atrocious, dumbest fucking thing out there.
Don't get me
started. That was great.
That was not good.
Thank y'all. I'm glad. I got comments that were like, I thought this was the best issue yet, and I'm just like, who's watching my channel? Like, it's the wrong people. Anyway, I'm just kidding, y'all. Just kidding. Nick, it's time for rapid fire, man. What you got? Because I'm about to be premiering over at Blood Splatter Chatter. So if anybody wants to go ahead and head over there, yeah. We're continuing March Madness tonight. Me and Eric, Easy Dick the Stash, is meeting up with Verno to talk about Black Swan. It would be my first time watching, so it's a great discussion. Nick, rapid fire, let's go.
I got 4 books. We talked about franchises or IPs or whatever that we're not too familiar with, but we're loving in comic form right now. Conan the Barbarian, issue number 9, Titan Comics, definitely going back to what I loved about the first arc. We're using the same kind of that like demonic essence that we saw in the first arc. It possessed Conan in the previous couple of issues. He's kind of broken out of that, but transported to a different timeline, and he's having to deal with the ramifications of that. So we're going back to what I loved about the first arc. So definitely check out Conan. And then we have Savage Sword, I think, issue 1, obviously last month, but I think the next one's coming up very soon. So yeah, that's been a killer show, killer series so far. We talked about it here and there. Dark Ages Batman, I thought it was pretty good. It's just like another iteration of Batman, but it's told through the lens of the Batman that we saw in Superman Space Age, also from Russell and the Allreds. And I just, for some reason, I just can't get enough of like this character's origin story being rewritten, revamped, characters that we know and love, that we're familiar with, just told in a little different way. So I actually enjoyed that one. That was really cool.
And by the way, we love Mike Allred here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's all right.
Yeah,
we do.
Chill out, bro.
One book that both confused me and left me entertained: Sandman, John Constantine, Hellblazer Dead America, issue number 3. It's a long title, like I always say. I continue to love the relationship that Constantine has with his 2 partners that he brought over. They're on the run right now. Reed Size run leading up to that to get the backstory there. But this book does a really good job of bringing in other characters, some ancillary characters that help support the current mission that they're on. It's a little bit convoluted. It can be confusing. It can put you in a space where you're like, I don't understand why these characters need to be in the book itself. Did we lose the narrative? What's going on? I don't care. I've been loving the book so far, and I just love how complex it is, and I like the lore that it's pulling out, introducing these new characters, and how they weave into the story that John has with his folks. So I think that Hellblazer is still a very strong book out from DC. Last book, real quick, I'll go over Last Mermaid, issue number 1. I figured it would pop up at some point. This has been a great book. Derek Kirk Kim, I think it's his first comic, if I'm not mistaken. This book does a really good job of giving that sense of isolation, sense of dread, sense of anxiety, because we know how precious these kinds of life forms are. There's like an axolotl and a mermaid in this desert wasteland, post-apocalyptic Earth, and they're trying just to survive the next day. And they have a very specific thing they need to accomplish in order to survive. But, nature and everything is against them. And there's just like this claustrophobic, anxiety-driven moments after moments inside of this book, which just really worked for me. So I actually dug that one. It was kind of a sleeper hit, I would say, of the month, really.
Yeah, really. I really loved Last Mermaid. Glad you brought it up, because it's going to be the first thing I talked about on my rapid fire. What about you, Stu? What did you think about rapid fire? Like, let's go.
All right. Well, Nick took a bunch of mine. I'm just going to do 2. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, number 13. I've loved this book. Mezzi and Macio's kind of journey through the wasteland here, and also Nick Dragotta has done a fantastic job on the art and the interiors. The last couple covers by Ariel Olivetti, I believe, have been stunning. But yeah, we're heading towards the climax of this epic story. About love, at the end of the world. And it's just been fantastic. The journey these 2 have gone on. just seeing them go from, young, that puppy dog love, to just really hardened and grizzled old folks, just, made bitter and barren by this landscape that they've, been interacting with the whole time. It's just been fantastic. Jason Aaron, I think, continues to kill it. One of my favorite writers out consistently. And then I guess I will show some love to Void Rivals #7. It wasn't the most crazy and such a fantastic ride. It's my favorite Energon book. I love the character development in it. It hasn't really had a big, amazing IP to lean on, but regardless, I think the storytelling, the world building, the artwork has been incredible throughout. So Void Rivals #7 is my second.
I like the introduction, the new character too. Really cool stuff. Speaking of introductions to new characters, Manny, you're joining us for the first time ever just now. Why don't you tell us your rapid fire?
Something Epic issue #8 was really, really fucking good. I love that we had this real big sweeping story, and then it just doesn't matter. There's something cool about like tossing it away and going into something new. The world that we're in it feels like Kudransky, if that's how you say his name. He's gotten more clarity in this issue. The story's a lot easier to follow. It's not nearly as wordy. The art continues to be awesome. The homage covers are freaking great and are the reason why my kids can't afford braces. But it's just really good. And I don't know. There's something well worn about this world now that like it's just stepping into it. It's not only refreshing from the aspect that it's a brand new story, brand new character, brand new epic. It's refreshing that like I don't know. It feels like a fresh start, something brand new, like I don't know. I liked it. I liked it.
We could take things for granted now, but in a good way, because we understand the world that he set up in the previous one. So it makes sense to gloss over it.
Exactly. Yeah. I freaking dug it. I dug it.
That was cool.
Something Epic was sweet. There was no Radiant Black this month. So we did get, so I got to talk about Power Rangers because that's in my contract. Power Rangers was good, wrapping up all the shit that's been happening with Rita and Vile, and it was the battle scenes were really cool. I do like that we did get to see both Ranger Slayer and Rita step out of the shadows of the men that kind of define their characters. And I really appreciate that also, that with the Return issue #2, we're also seeing this like Kim focus thing. I really enjoyed that aspect of the story. So yeah, it ended on a high note so far with this Melissa Flores stuff. So I'll take it. I'll take what wins I can get. Alan Scott Green Lantern was the weakest issue of Alan Scott Green Lantern, but I don't think it was bad. It's just we had a lot of really cool character development in the previous issues, and then that's just kind of all swept aside to have just to introduce a new villain and have a team up. So I was a little disappointed by that, but it's still like the worst issue of a really good book.
Yeah,
so
that art is so crazy, dude.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then lastly, Penguin issue #8 it's so weird. Like it was weird to go into that prequel stuff, and then like. But it was even weirder coming back to the main story. Like I had to adjust. But once I adjusted and fit back into where we were in modern continuity, you get to see the payoff of why we went back in time. The interactions with Oswald. He was so kind of scared and sniveling at the beginning. And it's like you get this like instant character progression because like now we're into the modern or the current Oswald. And he's just kicking people's ass and taking names, and you're just like, it opens up this curiosity for you, this loop of like, how did we go from there to here? And I'm excited to see where Tom King goes with it and how he fleshes all those thoughts out. So great month for comics. Everything. I think most of the books that I actually picked up and read, I really enjoyed this month, except for Ghostbusters. Otherwise, I thought it was really good.
I really did like Penguin. I thought Penguin was amazing, 100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of Penguin, this is a pudgy looking motherfucker. I don't fucking know where I'm going. He's not in person. I mean,
wow.
Oh man,
Chris, you're a little short, but you're actually very, very, very attractive, very lean.
You're
body shaming here.
So
you're actually a lot taller than I thought, Robbie. I'll never forget.
That's what I said. I got a lot of shit for it.
Right, seeing his towering presence, I was like, "Wow, I think I said you're tall."
You should meet Bueller then. Bueller is like a giant. He's like a Nephilim up in this motherfucker, man. Chris, what's your rapid fire, man? I love you. Penguin, you look nothing like the Penguin.
It's all good.
Dude looks nothing like the Penguin, okay?
But maybe I'm a young Oswald. I'm a young Oswald, all right?
Oh, God damn.
Let's go with the double feature here. The One Hand issue number 2 that came out this month. Ram V on writing. And then the companioning issue 6 Fingers 2 that came out yesterday. One Hand, of course, focusing on the detective looking for the one hand killer who he has caught twice before and has come to find out now that these murders are being committed again. Same MO, same things happening. Did he put the wrong person in prison? Then we go over to the 6 Fingers and we are observing the story of the killer who is basically an unknowing killer. He doesn't know. There's something going on where he's disconnected from this murder that he's just committed, and he's trying to get answers to the point that he even contemplates turning himself into the detective. So reading these two together, it's such a joy. You get the detective perspective, you get the killer perspective, and it's just a wonderful marriage. One Hand 2, 6 Fingers 2. Next, I've got to mention Avengers Twilight issue number 4. I really love this comic. I talked about earlier with Ultimate Spider-Man. I think Marvel, there's some things that Marvel has done very well here in 2024. I think this is another bright spot for them. And funny enough, it is another, what if type situation with the Avengers being gone due to what's been called H-Day, where heroes were basically wiped off of the earth. Only a few remain, and those few have finally found themselves together again, fighting a corrupt government. Fantastic stuff. If you are the age of everybody on this panel or older, you are going to relate very much to the things that these characters are going through at an older age. And it's just nice just to visit these characters at an older age. We don't get to see that a lot in continuity. Let's go to, this is just kind of a fun one. Pop's Chocolate Shop of Horrors from Archie Comics, issue number 1. This is just a flurry of creators on this one. My favorite of which would be Liana Kangas on there. Did anybody read this? I wonder. But these books, man, I have so much fun with them. And there was an issue in 2023 that is basically the same. It was the Pop's Chocolate Shop of Horrors, something else. But this is basically a continuation of that. And if you guys have ever, dipped your toes into the Archie universe, the horror universe, that there's definitely horror elements, but they also are funny. A lot of grotesque moments. This one's no different. It's just a continuation of that one from 2023. But you can read it by itself. It makes complete sense. You can read the one from last year, read it with this one. But yeah, I think it's like one of my guilty pleasures, and Pop is basically the owner of that shop there in Riverdale, and he's made a deal with Satan basically to keep that shop running all these years, and it's why everybody has always gravitated to his shop. So yeah, those are my 4 books. Great month of comics.
It is a great month of comics. For my rapid fire, I'll go Dutch number 2, because Joe Casey is building into basically relaunching the Youngblood universe, the Extreme universe, but without having to use the characters that aren't owned by Rob Liefeld, right? But Dutch number 2, the artwork, Simon Gain, I think is the name of the dude. I can't remember right now, but the art I love so much. It's not the style of art that you would think to be on a Dutch book, but it works because it still carries the same energy, even though the quality of the line is more refined and different than it was back in the 90s. And the story, Joe Casey's able to mine what worked back then and extrapolate that out 30 years later. So I think Dutch is amazing. Tenement number 10, I absolutely loved. I thought it was brilliant and beautiful. And let me tell y'all something. People keep fucking sending me comments and DMs and shit. This is my comment on accusations about AI art. Back it up or you ain't got shit for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if Andrea Sorrentino's using AI or if he's using fucking AI as a tool or if he's using whatever, but I saw him respond to those accusations by showing a time-lapse photo of his digital art for that Joker issue. So I think that we need to be, my message here is this: Tenement's awesome. The art was awesome. And just because someone thinks it's AI doesn't mean it is. And let's stop fucking jumping on this shit, right? Because I don't want this to be the next witch hunt in comics, is people trying to accuse other people of doing AI art, because it's been happening. And a lot of those receipts have been shown. And it's like let's all just calm the fuck down. Okay, please.
Yep.
And if Andrea is using AI art, he knows how to put in the right prompts, I guess. I don't fucking know. It's working for me. Yeah. Holy Roller continues to be way better than any comic co-written by Andy Sandberg I ever thought would be. I love the Holy Roller, and I really want to see this done in live action. Man's Best, Jesse Lonergan. Yes. Me and Chris hung out with him at the bar last year, bruh.
Heck yeah.
Super cool dude. First of all, love his art. I even like Pornsack's story here, man. I hope he keeps it up, but I'm invested in this homeward bound in space kind of thing. And the last one I want to talk about is Savage Dragon 269, dudes. If you want comics to push boundaries, if you want comics to be gnarly and offensive, and if you want comics that do not give a shit about what you think about that comic, totally check out what Eric Larson is doing. If you are not easily offended, please check out what Eric Larson's doing in the pages of Savage Dragon. Some people would say it's distasteful, and yes, it is, but I have not seen a response to the Steamboat Willie public domain nature of that character now, like Eric Larson. He has made Mickey Mouse become a sexual fiend and sexual predator in his comic book of Savage Dragon. It is wild. There are 2 spider-powered women in this movies that are straight up shooting webs out of their vaginas. And you see it. Like, I'm just telling you, if you want to say if you love outlaw, weird-ass comics,
you start with that.
Savage Dragon, yeah. I mean, the Mickey Mouse stuff is what most people are paying attention to.
They
are selling out. They are starting, that Mickey Mouse nature is kind of making it a little bit spec-oriented. Plus, it's a very under-ordered book. But kudos to Eric Larson to keep doing it. Man, he may be a creepy, distasteful older guy now, but I don't know.
I got a quick question, Robbie. How long has Savage Dragon been on that wave or that vibe? Because has it always been like that type of book? I'm not.
No,
I'm not.
It hasn't.
Yeah,
but I think it's turned into that
recently.
I think it's turned into that in the last few years.
Okay.
Because I remember people telling me, like, "Do you read Savage Dragon?" I was like, "No." But then, like, what happened was I actually read for the first time last year, that initial 3-issue miniseries, which is really good, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let me start jumping into Savage Dragon like I did Spawn, right? Let me just jump in and see, like, follow it along. And at first I was a little confused, but now I'm just like, what the fuck is he doing? I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's so weird, man.
I remember when he first started to break
Are you
that.
looking
I saw
at it,
some
Nick?
panels.
Yeah, maybe.
Crazy.
So yeah, I got to give love to Savage Dragon 269. It's trust me, like I wouldn't recommend that to Carrie, but anyway, it is Savage 62, like 100%. It's savage as fuck. I don't know what the hell's going on, man.
Wow,
it's like porn parody Friends. I don't know what's going on there, man, but something's happening and it's interesting. I wanted to mention it. All right, well, that's it for the show. Thank you all so much for joining us. I am live in a premiere right now over at Black Swan on Blood Splatter Chatter, continuing March Madness. We officially end March Madness on Saturday night with Possession. It's a movie that Verno and Dylan both recommended heavily to me. I watched it the other night, and man, it's a hard one to unpack. It's a really intense movie, and I'm really excited to talk about it. But then Monday night on PCP Movie Night, we're fulfilling a 4-year promise. We're talking about 2019's cats. Thing about feral is I wonder if they're jellicle cats.
Can't do the.
Well,
can
one
they,
of them is.
Are they cat of? Are they? Fuck, I can't remember anything else. Can they see in the dark?
Would you sit on his throne? That's going to be a great conversation. Manny's going to be there. Fable's going to be there. Brooks and Jelani. And Jelani is not looking forward to it. And of course, Joe Corallo, who saw it in the theater. So he's got to be there. Nick, thank you for being here. What's coming up for you?
Thank you, man. I actually did my first creator interview the other day. We recorded it, so I'm going to be putting that together and releasing it very soon. I'm super excited for that, and hopefully there's many more of those in the future. So I'll be posting some stuff about that. Other than that, just the regular stuff. Nick at Night, weekly comic book review show, Saturday nights, and then FOC and new release stuff, haul videos on Wednesday, key comic breakdowns, all that good stuff. I just recently also did a live with some of the PCP guys, like Stu and Steph. Spring Clientele joined me for a live just this past Sunday when we went over books coming out in April. So we just kind of went through League of Comic Geeks and talked about what we're excited for, hanging out with the chat, doing that whole thing. So that's what I got coming up here
soon.
God
and then Stu has you to know about Kaya, right?
Yeah, thank God for that.
Thank you, Manny. I appreciate you, Manny.
Anytime, man. I got you back, dude. Don't worry about it.
I think Stu's like, I'm done. I'm never coming back. Fuck Robbie. Started with the microphone. Now I'm shitting over everything, and I don't watch everybody's videos.
But just to wrap it up, we have one collection down. So we have the Blame Fable Amazing Friends show coming back in April. We're going to have to schedule that still and figure out guests and things like that and format and everything. But just stay tuned for that.
Oh, yeah.
Cool, man. Yep. Stu, I love you. I think you're officially past your hazing phase now.
Man, that is brilliant to hear. I feel like that's a trap now, so I'm not going to accept that and just expect the worst.
It's just a setup for more disappointment. Yeah. Stu, what you got coming up, bro? Tell us about your channel.
Oh, the next, over on the Dr. Dooms fan club, every Wednesday night, 9:30, we got Supreme Clientele. Me and my homie Link going over comics new and old. Unfortunately, I got off work yesterday to find out the cat had chewed through the power cord of both the modem and the Wi-Fi router, so we're gonna have to cancel / reschedule my show with Manny that we had. Sorry, bro. But yeah, barring any crazy cat incidents, check us out every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern over on the Dr. Dooms fan club YouTube channel.
Well, now we know why you didn't like Feral as much as you should have, and why you didn't like Cats from 2019 as much. And I really fucking hope, as many of you out there that watch PCP Movie Night, some of our videos have crossed 400,000 views. I really hope y'all watch along with Cats for us for our show on April 1st. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great show. Manny, what you got coming up, bro?
Oh, well, we're wrapping up March Madness. And I've got a video that
what was that? I thought you threw one of those fucking quarter like gummy, like weird, like you remember those things, those hands that you would slap on something?
Nice,
I thought you threw one of those at the fucking webcam.
Is that the thing from Crashdown? Yeah.
Starts and ends it with Crashdown. Nice.
Oh, fuck. We didn't talk about Crashdown.
Crashdown. Right there.
Took it serious.
Damn. I've got a video, Gigantic Moronic Splendor. If you want to hear my thoughts on working with your demons in order to become your truest hero, I guess that's kind of what we're talking about. We're taking a look at Ghost Rider, at the Spectre, and We Have Demons, which is super interesting because that script started out as a review of The Devil That Wears My Face, and that book's not even in the video, but that video is dropping, and you can definitely check that out if you're feeling fancy. I got a Darkwing Duck video that's out where I count down my top 5 Darkwing Duck villains, and that's also good. It's a great video. Fucking watch it. But if you want to see like a great video with somebody that you can actually stomach watching, not only because he's gorgeous, but also because he actually has insights that's not just speaking in strange poetic riddles, you need to check out my man Easy Dick, Big E, over on 9 Panel Grid. He's been dropping amazing reviews. people say that they found somebody in their life that makes them want to be a better person. And Eric is somebody that makes me want to be a better reviewer. Mostly because Nick's already like worlds above me. Robbie's worlds above me. I can't handle it again. E. So no, go check out 9-Panel Grid. So good.
Yeah, Easy is really fuck. It's not his name. Eric is doing a really, really great job over at 9-Panel Grid. Seriously, please go sub him up because he drops these videos on Monday that I watch him. I watch him every Monday. In fact, we got a great panel here. Go watch all of these dudes. Their links are in the description below. But also check out 9-Panel Grid, and Sleepy Reader 666 is back with his weekly countdown, and I fucking love him. I love watching Damien's thoughts on comics, and I hope that Damien, now that he's getting back into the swing of things, will check out Transformers when the trade comes out, even though he doesn't care about Transformers, and join us for a show this year. You could be an award winner too, Damien. All you got to do is join us for one episode, and because I mean, come on, y'all, we're taking it next year.
Got it. We got
this. Right?
Wasn't he on last year?
Not if they watched tonight. He was on. Actually, he was on one before. Fuck, Damien, you're an award winner. We're gonna cut this award down into like 20 pieces. Just give slivers to a bunch of people. It's a plan. Hell yeah, dude.
That'd be awesome.
Dude, if you read Transformers, let's have a discussion about that. I would love to hear your thoughts. I think Damien is one of the. I love Eric, right? Eric and Damien are both two of the most astute observators of comics, right? I like them both. Go check them out. They're great. Damien, though, has a different perspective than E does, right? And I love that. And that's what I love about this community is we all have different perspectives. We're like the Energon universe. Each channel has a different tone, atmosphere, and vibe, but together we make up the Energon universe, right? Speaking of more than meets the eye, Chris, you truly are, man. You are such a good dude, such a fucking fun presence, and you bring in energy, and I love it when you're here for the monthly review. So thank you so much. Why don't you tell us what's coming up for you?
Well, I love you, Robbie, and you know this already. The moment I laid eyes on you, gave you that kiss, man, something I'll never forget.
The kiss was the last moment, brother. Come on, man. It was like a movie, man. We even had an act 2. Right, the act 2 was when I was like, come up to the drink and draw. And you're like, no, we're going to Buffalo Wild Wings. And my heart was broken. And then we had to build back up.
I was like, what the hell's going on here? There's like nothing happening, Robbie. I'm like, is this what this is? And yeah, but it got good, man, that Saturday night, which I'm expecting again this year. I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
Lost in Comics, man. We are a comic loving YouTube channel. We really just share our positivity and love on our channel. We had a great discussion this past Tuesday. We have a new monthly reading book club that we're doing, Back Issue Reading Club, and we covered Batman Year One with John's Comics with kids, myself, and the Pouch. And we had a great time with that. Just really diving in, dissecting it, looking at it from a 2024 perspective, how it aged, if it's aged well, if it hasn't aged well. And we really get into that. So go check that out if you have an opportunity. I love Batman, and those things that are present in that story were not present in the Batman book yesterday. That's why I didn't care for it too much. But I will say also next Tuesday, we're having a live show. We're just going to have comic chat conversation, myself and the Pouch. And then, of course, every Thursday we have the top 3 comics of the week video where I share my thoughts on the new comics that came out, tell you my favorite ones. And yeah. I love you guys, man. Wonderful show tonight.
Fuck yeah, wonderful show, man. I love all of you.
Yeah, yep.
Thank you. I love
what a great comment.
All of you. You can catch me right now over at Blood Splatter Chatter as we continue March Madness. We're talking about Black Swan. So do check that out right now. And Saturday night, the grand finale of March Madness over at Dylan's Horror Show, Possession. This is a movie I really want to talk about. A movie I don't really want to talk about is Monday Night Cats. If you think Jelani doesn't like jazz, I bet he doesn't like cats either. 100%. I bet he doesn't. But we are dipping out. We love you. And for my final thoughts, I'm just going to say, let me get it set up.